You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to a unexpected edition of the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. But this is going to be a good one because we have lies to smack down left and right. We're going to do it tonight. And I have one of my favorite guests of all time. We got LisaKnows. She's listening to us. I'm going to bring her on in just a second. A lot to cover. We got some hard, tangible evidence, but, we're going to talk a lot about evidence today. We're going to talk a lot about evidence. We're going to talk a lot about my beautiful wife bringing me some tea. A little bit of cognitive dissonance that seems to be pervasive amongst the candy cults, complete rejection of reality. We're going to cover it all tonight. We're also going to talk about the importance of debates. And I want to talk a little bit about the Zach debate. I've already talked to him. I don't know if he responded, but we're going to get him back on. We only covered the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot more to cover and uncover. So, but before we do all that, number one, I want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. We got the obscure moderator, which I love. That's old Ben. And by the way, you guys pray for Jen. I don't know how much she wants me to tell you, but she's not feeling good, to say the least. She's ill. And anyways, pray for Jen. She couldn't make it. She wanted to. She was feeling bad that she couldn't because she had some things prepped, but anyways, pray for Jen. She's been a great addition to the show and has contributed amazingly to this. So, number one, keep her in your prayers. I want to say hi to Lori Matthews, Natalie Herman. What else we got over there? Candace M6932. I think this is Candace Owens, folks. I think that's who it is. I'm just joking. Just joking, Candace. Dax, Don't Stop. Jason TG sponsor, K Posto, Con, Sergeant, Will, Love, USA 595. You know what I love? I love seeing you guys here in the chat, and then I love seeing you guys regularly on X. It's just like, I don't know. I like that. I like that you guys are following me. I'm following you guys. If you're following me and you're on here regularly, especially if you are a subscriber on either one of those two, and I'm going to check too, by the way, just to keep you honest, but, and not just because of this, but number one, I'll make sure I follow you back. Just want to do that. It's the least I can do. The Duke Norris Show. My man, Gary, truth will prevail. All right. Enough of all that. And I don't want to leave her in the backstage too much because that is a waste of talent. Everyone welcome LisaKnows in the house. Lisa, if you will, I think most people know LisaKnows, but for those that don't, tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I do social media and commentary. Couple months ago, obviously jumped in on this whole Erika Kirk TPUSA nonsense and started just debunking and trying to look into and research as much as I could to disprove a lot of their statements, right? My background is in the pro-life movement, doing research there. That's kind of where I started. And as well as debate. I've been debating pro-life versus pro-choice for about 10 years. And I can pretty much debate just about anything at this point. I could probably debate an orange from an apple.
You can't debate everything.
No, well, not everything, but I could try.
I was debating you about your ability to debate, but you didn't pick up on it.
I would give it the old college try, but anyway, yeah. I mean, I've been married for 15 years now. I've got a couple kids running around, and I live in the Phoenix area. So
awesome. No, and Lisa's been out there fighting the good fight. She does excellent work. Make sure down in the description below, folks, is all of her socials. Make sure you go give her a follow and support her. Share her content. Share my content. Also down in the description below is all of our socials. If you're not following us on the other platforms, make sure you do that, and especially on X. I am going to do another space tonight. I don't know. Probably, we'll just say probably 9:30 or something like that. And Lisa, you're welcome to join me on that as well tonight and be one of the, matter of fact, I'll just make you my co-host. If you'd like to jump on, we can carry on this conversation with those that would like to, and then also carry it over to the people on X that aren't watching now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and if you'd like to support this channel, also down in the description below is a link to support us through memberships. It's a couple bucks a month. It goes a long way. We really appreciate that. We are going to get hard and heavy into this right away. Folks, I don't have Jen here. I'm going to try to pretty much ignore the comment section just so that Lisa and I can keep or at least I can keep my thoughts straight. I will try to get to as many comments, and I will prioritize and definitely cover the super chats at the end of this. So we will get to that. I promise you. I did want to address, I don't even know what this person's talking about. You should have called and got the video. I emailed you. Yeah, look, I don't know if you people realize it or not. You people. I don't know if everyone out there realizes it or not, but we get hundreds of emails and hundreds of videos. And I literally get links to videos. I'm sure Lisa experiences the same thing. Like, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. There's 10,000 videos out there that I got to watch that I just don't get to. So if I am not playing the video that you sent me yesterday, or I haven't responded, doesn't mean I don't plan to, or I just haven't got to it. So just understand the reality of all this stuff that goes on. So don't think that we're necessarily ignoring you. Some of you I'm definitely going to ignore. There's no doubt about it, because some of y'all are crazy. It's the fact of the matter.
Certifiable.
It's just true. But most of you, I'm not ignoring because of that. I'm ignoring because I haven't got to you, or we just, other things are taking up time. All right. So Lisa, let's kind of break down what today's video is all about. Essentially what we have are a bunch of people online, and we're just going to call them out by name, Candace Owens and Baron Coleman specifically, that are laying out timelines that they created. Baron Coleman has, he's going online and he's looking up planes and he's finding tail numbers and he's tracking these planes from one point to another, and he's just throwing people in there randomly. Like, oh, I think this is the plane he literally doesn't even know their departure and arrival points. Doesn't even know.
He also doesn't know how to read the data that because I can tell you guys right now, I wouldn't know how to read that data. Like, yes, some of it I think is kind of clear cut, but there's other aspects to reading flight data like that you need to know, like, what you're looking at. And if you're not an expert in that, then you don't know what you're doing at the end of the day.
I don't think there's a subject that Baron Coleman hasn't looked upon that he doesn't think he's an expert on. But let's give him this. Let's give him the point that he knows exactly what he's looking at. What he doesn't know is he doesn't know if that's their flight or not. That's complete guesswork. Complete guesswork. He doesn't know the time that they left. He doesn't know the time that they arrived. He doesn't know where they left, and he doesn't know where they arrived. He's just assuming based on the information that he has. And there's a lot of variables there that he can get wrong real quick. And then what he does, he decides on one of those, pure assumption, pure conjecture. And then on top of that, what he does is he narrative builds, and then he passes this off to Candace, because that's what's happening a lot here. And let me tell you something, folks. In my opinion, Baron Coleman is a bigger threat than Candace is, because number one, he's a lawyer. He knows how to present things. Also, he has several years experience as a radio talk show host. So he knows how to perform. He knows how to entertain, and he's not dumb. All right. I think he's completely dishonest. And I think he knows what he's doing. And I think he knows these people out there. He's playing a lot of people. I'll leave it at that. So that's where this begins. And if you will, kind of take us through the narrative. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to play a video first. That's what we're going to start this off with a video that, let me see. We're going to add this to stage here. There we go. I want to play the video so you guys can see what's going on here, and you can witness the insanity of all of this. And by the way, Baron Coleman also went live to address some of the things that have now come out that have basically debunked his nonsense. And we're gonna peel off over there and go check that out here in just a little bit. But this is what we have going on. Hold on.
To kill Charlie Kirk.
This is kind of low.
Because if Andrew left Santa Barbara before Charlie got shot, then there was a plot to kill him. That's why it matters. If Andrew left Santa Barbara.
So let's just address that right off the bat. If Andrew left Santa Barbara before Charlie got shot, there was a plot to kill him. All right. There's 1,000 reasons why that assertion in itself, obviously could be wrong, but let's go with it.
Before Charlie got shot, there was a plot to kill Charlie Kirk, and Andrew knew about it. That's why it matters. It is evidence that might have been the case and that they've been lying to us the entire time. That's why it matters. There's no other explanation I can think of, short of Andrew was having an affair with somebody in Scottsdale, that he would be sneaking into.
All right, you guys see what he did just right there? Again, sneaking in additional defamatory information. The only other explanation is that he's having an affair. Like, there's 10,000 likely explanations, and that's like the least among them. They always assume the most sensational, salacious, worst of all the possibilities, which is just another indicator of how dishonest and disingenuous these people are.
Scottsdale, when he's supposed to be on the air on the Charlie Kirk show. And I'm sick and tired of the constant obfuscation and lies. And when we raise real questions like this, they ignore it. But when somebody says, you think Erika was buying a jumpsuit at Aloe? Oh my God, no. Of course she wasn't buying a jumpsuit at Aloe.
I mean, just what an unhinged, incoherent rant this is to begin with.
I was buying the jumpsuit. Oh, that's when you choose to come in and answer it?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have finally gotten some answers. Andrew Kolvet's flight itinerary for September 10th has been released. So this is the timeline that Candace was presenting on her show to her audience. She says that at 12:37, Andrew Kolvet departs from Santa Barbara and heads to Scottsdale, Arizona. Then she says that at 1:42, Andrew Kolvet lands in Scottsdale and has the infamous tarmac hug with Erika Kirk. She then says that at 4:36, a plane does come in from Santa Barbara and lands in Provo, and she says that she believes that this is Andrew's wife because she states that they were traveling separately that day. This is a set of plane details.
All right, so we're going to pull these up separately, but anything that we missed there, Lisa, just kind of fill in. I mean, that's kind of, I'll pull up some of the other documents that we have. This is the timeline that essentially came from Baron Coleman and Candace Owens herself. And then, of course, we actually have, I'll throw the other timeline that we have up there. But the assertion is that the Charlie Kirk show, I believe, was supposed to end at 1 Pacific time. Is that correct?
Yes, I think you're right.
And the assertion here is that it was pre-taped. It was supposed to be live. This whole conspiracy, they've pre-taped this. They want to build in Andrew an alibi. So they pre-tape it, and then they say it's live, but he's already in the air headed toward Erika Kirk because they know what's going to happen. He's going to land. Apparently, the other narrative is that Erika Kirk is waiting there in Scottsdale and Phoenix area, waiting for him to arrive. She's waiting on the tarmac for over an hour. And this whole narrative has been built up. I believe it came from another anonymous source, which I want to talk about here in a second too. But that they land and they have this long, deep hug right there on the tarmac. Everybody sees it. Then they go get on the plane. They travel from Arizona to Provo, and that's what happens. And then Andrew has his wife take a separate jet from Santa Barbara to Provo directly, and that's what they got going on here. Anything I missed there?
Yeah, in Candace's and her like telling of how this happened, she claims that she spoke to Andrew on the phone, and he's the one that supposedly said that this tarmac hug happened, right? Obviously, again, this is just her statement though. Like, she never gives any like actual proof or evidence for this. It's literally, she just says it, and it's literally a trust me, bro. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, exactly. And folks, this is what we got to get away from. We got to get away from this idea that everything, I mean, literally every single one of her sources is anonymous. As far as I'm concerned, if we have an anonymous source, that's a lie. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And that's what we got to go with, because that's exactly how we got tricked by the mainstream media. That's how we got Russia collusion. That's how we got all of the attacks on President Trump. It's the exact same thing that the Democrats were doing against Trump, and those Democrats that were voted out of office, they're now jumping on this bandwagon. They're tied into the Charlie Kirk assassination. They're promoting this stuff. And now it's Israel, and the Israel collusion hoax. That's what they're pushing. It is the exact same time and time again. And what's insane to me is these people make up narratives out, and they literally pull things out of the ether. When there is an information gap, they'll just assume, and they always assume the worst, the craziest things to fill up that information gap. And then when you actually provide them with evidence, real evidence, they say, no, I'm rejecting that evidence and I'm going with this narrative that has no evidence. We saw that with Zach. We see that with all the candy cult people every single time. They just make things up. So, like, for instance, a great example of this, when I was talking to Zach about, he was giving us the story about the Egyptian planes. Number one, he says the Egyptian planes land and people get off of that. We have no evidence that anyone got off that plane, or all we have is anonymous sources that I don't even think are real. And then on top of that, what they say is then these military contractors come in, I guess, to get at a hotel. And by the way, just so we're clear, Candace had screwed that timeline up so bad, just so we understand what's going on. That plane took off hours before it landed and took off hours before Charlie Kirk was even assassinated. But this is where we're stuck in these narratives that have nothing behind them. We have no evidence of a French foreign assassin coup. We have no evidence of a French foreign assassin on Charlie Kirk or a team that's coming after Candace Owens herself. We have no evidence of any of these things. And people just buy into it wholesale. And then what we do have evidence of, we have evidence right here in the charging documents. And they want to just nope, that's not real. Folks, all of this evidence is real. It is real. And if people are telling their audience that this evidence isn't real, because it will have to be shown at the trial. It's going to be shown. And by the way, the defense team already has it. They're already going through this, validating the evidence, and it's real. It exists. So, I don't know what else to do with this complete, it's intentional and willful rejection of reality. That's what this is. They're like, I don't like this reality. I like this other thing that I'm making up over here, so I'm just going to replace it. And nothing will change their minds. And I'm curious to see, Lisa and I were talking a little bit about what people are already saying. And we're going to compare their timeline with what we now have. This came directly from Andrew. All right. What we have is a passenger itinerary. He didn't send it to me, by the way. I just want you guys to know that. This was sent to other people. So what we have is an actual itinerary. And let me pull up real quick. I want to go through the timeline that we have.
I mean, even this whole timeline, Candace has already had to change it. So when she first presented this back in December, she said that the tarmac hug happened in Provo, in Utah, between Andrew and Erika. And it was the whole, member, Erika waited on the tarmac for an hour for Andrew to get there. Remember that whole thing? Then she just recently, on her episode that she did, I think it was that Wednesday? Thursday, whatever, Wednesday or Thursday, episode 316, I believe it was. Then she changed it to, well, no, Andrew actually flew into Scottsdale. He met up with Erika on the tarmac there. That's where the hug happened. And then everybody from the TPUSA crew got on Charlie's plane, and then they all went to Utah together. So she's already had to make adjustments to this, and she still entirely got it wrong. So,
yeah. And I'm actually going to pull that up real quick, just so that everybody can see Candace's timeline, and then we're going to compare. And again, folks, these are tail numbers that somebody just picked out of the blue. They saw these dots on the screen. They saw it on the computer, on the internet, and they pulled this up and said, I think this is their planes. And we're going to show you how wrong they got this.
Yeah, I say, as you're going to see, none of these tail numbers that she gave, none of the 3 tail numbers shown here anyway, none of them match the actual tail number that we know that he was on. Exactly.
All right, so we have the minute-by-minute timeline from Candace Owens. And let's see here. 12:37, Andrew departs from Santa Barbara, headed to Scottsdale. 1:03 approximate time, Andrew says that he learned Charlie did not make it. 1:42, Andrew Kolvet lands into Scottsdale and has a tarmac hug with Erika Kirk. 1:42, and we don't even have. Well, I guess at that time that was September, so Arizona would have been on basically Pacific time. So the delineation.
Yeah, we're the same. We're the same as California in the summer.
But it's not the same. Where it should be listed there is that it's not the same times as
Utah.
Utah.
Utah's an hour
Utah
ahead.
would be a mountain time, an hour behind.
Yeah.
Actually, an hour ahead of Pacific time. So even that, like, this isn't very clear, and there's lots of room for error. But when you're making things up, it really doesn't matter. All right. So now what I want you guys to look at, this is the actual itinerary that was provided to someone else by Andrew Kolvet, what we have here. And start talking through this a little bit. I actually printed this out, and I want to pull that up so I can see it really well.
Yeah, so one of the first things that I point out in my video is obviously the arrival and the departure times are way off from what Candace gave. So Candace originally says that Andrew takes off from Santa Barbara at 12:37, which if that was correct, that's why Barron did his whole freak out, because that would be 14 minutes from when Charlie was shot. He was shot at 12:23 p.m. local Utah time. So yeah, I can see why they would think that, oh my gosh, like, how would he have left the office and got on a plane already and done all of that unless he knew that this was going to happen, right? He had foreknowledge of it.
Well, I just want to point out, like, that's not even like the logical assumption to make.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying, like, that's where they're getting, because she's putting him at 12:37 as
point
leaving.
is I don't want this to sound like these are like accidents. Like, this is not accidental, folks. They're intentionally choosing options every time that paint TPUSA, Andrew Kolvet, and Erika Kirk in the worst light possible every single time. Every time they have an option of reasonable, completely unreasonable, but makes them look bad, they're going to pick this one every single time. But
yes, of course. But anyway, based off of her original timeline, she has him leaving Santa Barbara at 12:37, which would have been, again, 14 minutes after Charlie Kirk was shot. We know that he actually left at 2:30 in the afternoon, significantly later than what she's saying, right?
That is 3:30, folks. That's 3:30 Utah, by the way.
Then she has that a Santa Barbara plane arrives in Utah, the one that she believes is holding Caitlin Kolvet, Andrew's wife, at 4:36 p.m. But their actual arrival time was 4:58 p.m., almost 5 o'clock in the evening. And then you also have the fact that she is insinuating that they flew separately. You can clearly see here that there are two passengers listed, Andrew and Caitlin, him and his wife. They flew together. They were together the entire time. And as you can see, based on the map down there, this is a straight shot flight from Santa Barbara to Provo. There is no stop in Scottsdale. The Scottsdale stop literally never existed. It never happened. There is no point in time during this entire day, based off of this document, that Erika and Andrew would have ever been on a tarmac together at any point in time on September 10th. It literally does not exist. It never happened. Now, they went to the hospital. Erika and crew would have gotten there before him. We know based off of the police audio that Candace played on her own show that the police had a scheduled escort pickup time of 3:30 for Erika from the airport to escort her to the hospital. So she would have gotten to the hospital around 4 o'clock. This also corroborates with Frank Turek's statements that she arrived at around 4 o'clock at the hospital. You have Andrew Kolvet getting there a full hour behind everybody else. He was like the last one to arrive, basically, because he was coming from further away. He was coming from Santa Barbara, not Arizona.
So he arrived at 4:58 p.m. Mountain Time. So you figure at least he arrives there somewhere probably around 5:30, 5:40, something like that.
Yes, much later. Yeah. And so, when he would have gotten to the hospital, everybody else would have already been there. So yes, at that point, he probably would have gone around and given people hugs and, like, whatever, to try to comfort people. Yes, Erika, I'm sure, would have been included in that. And there's also literally a crowd of people in that room to witness that happening, right? So, like, it's not this private one-on-one hug that happens on the tarmac to make it seem all dramatic like a movie. That literally did not happen. And I'm also really tired of people saying that there's no romantic insinuation. When Project Constitution put out his garbage today, he's like, where is the romantic insinuation? Nobody ever said that. And I was like, except you have Candace absolutely insinuating that. And you literally had Baron Coleman in the opening statement that you showed where he's insinuating this affair that's happening. So yes, that's absolutely being insinuated. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and absolutely smuggling that in at every opportunity and saying it in ways that gives them, plausible deniability. It's so contrived, it's so engineered, and it's so disingenuous that it's so disgusting. I mean, it's just disgusting the way that they do these things. And look, and the problem is that their audience falls for it. That's what they know. They know that they can just imply, insinuate any little thing, and these people are just going to lap it up like the freaking slop puppies that they are every single time.
Yeah, I mean, we also have, again, we have the aircraft listed up there. We have the tail number. We have the type of aircraft. Again, this doesn't match any of the 3 planes that she had listed on her detailed plane, lineup there. Like, none of that matches. We do have at the top there that this is a TPUSA VIP client. So we do know that this is under their account. And we have that it's Paradise Jets up there. That is the charter company that they were using. The other thing that I want to, so a lot of people were in my comments today saying, this is just an itinerary. It's not a manifest. Itineraries can be changed. They're not necessarily accurate. While that can be true, something that needs to be brought into perspective here that I don't think people are considering or thinking about, this is a privately chartered flight. They are very different than a commercial flight like you and I would take, where we go to the airport, we get it on a big plane with a bunch of people, and like our itineraries are definitely subject to change. You can sit on a tarmac for 2 hours in a commercial flight, right? A private chartered flight is going to be it is different. It works differently. But I even looked it up. Yeah, I even looked it up today just to be like double sure. A 5-second Google search. You guys can go literally, please go look for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Literally type it in. Is a private chartered flight itinerary more accurate than a commercial flight itinerary? And it literally tells you, yes, they are more accurate based on the GPS devices that these companies use. Also, the fact that it's being arranged around one single client, not an entire plane full of people, obviously. And then the other thing is the fact that these types of companies, anybody who, I've never flown privately myself, but like a lot of people who have money, wealthy individuals, use these type of services. They have a lot of high profile celebrity clients, and they want to keep their information private. They would not release this type of document to just anyone. Only the actual client calling and requesting that document would it be released to them. They're not just going to have some rando on the phone. Hey, can I get that itinerary? Oh yeah, here you go. They're not going to do that. Again, these people are flying celebrities and high profile politicians and people around the country. They're not just going to give that information out to anybody. Right?
No. I thought it was kind of funny, and I'm going to give him props real quick. I just happened to pull up Baron Coleman's while we're sitting here looking at this.
Lord. I guess he's throwing me bus hardcore, but let's go. I guess I signed up for this. So
I don't even know. I don't know if I'm sure he will go after you. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's going to happen. He's gone after me since the beginning. Let me remove this. But what we do have here is Rage Bronson coming at him. I just happened to pull this up when he's reading Rage Bronson's. It says, Baron, given a reason to not debate because he knows that he would get destroyed by Andrew Wilson, which is exactly true. And we'll start off at the beginning of this, but I thought that was pretty funny.
Yes. Andrew Wilson offered him an invitation to debate yesterday, and Baron has still not responded to it at all. I haven't seen any response, but
apparently he responded earlier on
did he?
in the stream. So we will pull those up. Real quick, we'll hit a few of these super chats while we have time. Thank you, Shine Bright Like a Dotson, for becoming a member. Thank you very much. Dr. Altoids, great to see you streaming on Sunday, brother. Lisa K in the house. She's been a diligent soldier exposing the gal Sharpton lies. Saw one today about the infamous Andrew with K. Erika hug. Thank you, Carmen King. It's sassy how Gary and Lisa coordinate outfit.
I told you someone was going to mention that. I was like, it literally happens every time. And I'm like, I'm waiting for them to notice that it literally just happens. We always wear the same color and it's completely random. It's not coordinated, I promise.
Definitely not coordinated.
Hey, you know, great minds, I guess, right?
Gal Sharpton, Ian Carroll, Baron Coleman, Zach Costello, Project Constitution et al., part of the industrial grift complex. You were so right about that. What a great analysis, Alan. Some are smarter than others, but it's all the same strategy. Post bullshit for clicks and cash. We were just talking about that too. Like some of these people, I don't know what they're going to do after this all goes away, because they're not going to have anything to talk about because they got no substance other than, and think about this. And look, I know that my content has been heavy going after Candace and this whole lie. And this is not about Candace and the whole lie. This is about the fact that there is something much larger taking place that I want to bring attention to. And it's a psychological operation. I 100% believe that. And I'm actually going to pull up a Grok analysis, not just a Grok. It's a super Grok analysis of its own platform in just a second. And what I've been saying for months is more and more, we're getting more and more evidence that is true, that there is something artificial taking place specifically around Candace Owens and her minions. And I'll bring that up in just a minute. This is another point that I want to highlight that Lisa and I were talking about before this. Lucas, thank you very much, buddy. We love you, man. Anyone that can justify listening to Zach, Candace, or any other of these morons are just, you know what? I got lost in my thought here. I want to go back to this one. Going back to, I know that I have been concentrating on Candace and debunking and whatever else. Okay. But I want to also talk about a couple things. Before I went to Candace, yes, I actually had like an additional 100,000 additional subscribers between the time that Charlie Kirk was killed and about November. All right. Around November, I hit around 285,000 followers. And that's when I saw what was happening with Candace. And then I focused my attention on Candace. Right now, I have 285,000 followers. All right. So that's like 4 or 5 months that have went by. And understand that I typically gain about 2,500 to 3,000. It goes up and down. But I can, on the low end, it's like 2,500 followers per month. That's what I typically would gain. So we can easily assess that I've lost somewhere around 15,000 followers between now and then. That's what I've lost. So I gain some, lose some. You guys understand. So I'm definitely net negative, without a doubt. And by the way, my views went down too. I don't care. I know I'm going to lose followers. As a matter of fact, I thought I was going to lose my whole channel. I thought I was going to lose everybody because there was nobody coming after Candace in November. It just really wasn't happening. And I thought 100% like, hey, here we go. I don't care. Didn't matter to me. But my point here is that you have people like Zach who had barely any followers, but all he had to do was regurgitate exactly what Candace said every day. And that's what these people are doing. That's what they're doing. All they're doing is regurgitating exactly what she puts out and just affirming it, playing it, affirming it. Oh, this is great. This is magical stuff. All right. And then they get all of Candace's followers. They get all of Candace's views, and they're getting a lot more subscribers, views, and all those things. So this is a benefit.
I mean, one of the first things he said was he bragged that he's now up to, what was it, 300,000? And like he hit that milestone, and he literally was like bragging about it on your show. And it made me, I just remember like being like, oh, that's so gross.
So, but when they're gone, like they didn't have any content to begin with. Like if you go look at, and I'm not just picking on Zach, but you go look at any of these people, Coach Collins, a bunch of these folks, they had no following or anything else before Candace. And now they do. And that's the only content. It's like literally just cookie cutter, copy and paste, put out, and they're going to get the views. It's as simple as that. So this is not beneficial to us. Trust me, it just isn't. And then, Lucas here said, anyone can justify listening to Zach, Candace, or any of these other morons is just stupid. Gary, great job in the debate, but you cannot win when the other side make up details to fit their delusional narrative. Like who cares, who hugged who, ridiculous. I want to really stress this point and make sure that people understand this, because I know a lot of people said, we're upset. They're like, why are you platforming this guy? Why are you debating them when you know you're not going to change their minds? Folks, do you think that I thought I was going to change Zach's mind? He just went up against Andrew Wilson. And he was, and by the way, I asked him before the show, like, did you see the flaws in your logic that he pointed out? And he was like, no. So understand what this is. And this is something that Charlie Cook understood. The debate is not for you people that already are on our side. Number one, you know who else played that debate and simulcast that? His followers. Now, are we going to reach all of them or even most of them? No, but there are going to be people that we do reach. And that's the only way that we can take this stuff line by line and tear it apart from a logic standpoint. A logic, evidence, facts, common sense. And that's what we have to do. And that's exactly why Charlie Kirk was doing what he understood that. And you folks need to do that as well. We're not there to necessarily change the person in front of us. What we're there is for other people outside looking in, people that may be on the fence, people that may otherwise succumb to this ideology and this lack of logic. We need to be able to put that on display for them to see it. So that's why it's so important to do this. And again, I'm trying to get back on.
I had someone ask me about it, and I actually made a video. You guys can go watch it where I go into detail. But they were like, why wouldn't you just continue to call them out online? Like, why do you need to like platform this individual? And I said, face-to-face debate is one of the most effective tools that we have. And as someone who has been debating publicly, face-to-face, for 10 years. Now I've been debating, again, I debated the topic. I still do debate the topic of pro-life versus pro-choice. But at the end of the day, it's the same concept still stands, which is that when you have to push these people out into the public and they have to speak these things out loud in front of a public audience, because a lot of people, especially in today's world, they're just in the internet cycle. They're behind a screen. They're just in their own head cycling the same garbage over and over and over again, and they never have to get outside of that bubble. But when you actually put them in a debate situation where they have to sit down face to face with a public audience and actually say this stuff out loud, it's embarrassing. It's mortifying to, well, they may not ever even realize it, but to everyone else who's hearing it be laid out and be processed logically, they're like, oh, wow. And there are people that I have actually seen it work over the last 10 years. People who were pro-choice their entire life, who became pro-life because they had to debate it out loud and actually speak these things into existence. And then they were like, oh my God, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't work. That's not logical. I can't defend this. I actually cannot defend my statements or my thoughts. And so it actually shows the absurdity of their ideology when you actually put it out like that. Not to say that the back and forth online doesn't help. I think that it's a part of the equation, but it's not the only part of the equation. You have to have both sides of it.
And it's not as effective. It gets drowned out in the noise. But when you have two people sitting there debating issue by issue, and you're able to dissect exactly what they're trying to say, and they have to defend it face to face, as opposed to just saying you're paid by Israel and then they freaking block you, right? That's usually what happens when they run out of, because just like I was telling you guys, and I was just thinking about this. This is the same thing with liberal ideology, right? All the things that Lisa just said is true with liberal ideology. Once they have to start articulating these things out loud, it does sound stupid. And it definitely sounds stupid to even not only them, but especially to the audience listening. And these are people that without that interaction, they would think it sort of makes sense. They could be convinced that it makes sense. But when they have to say it out loud, it hits different for sure.
Very rarely will you have someone that comes back to you. It has happened. I've had people in my DMs who were like, you know what? You made me think differently. You made me think about things in a way that I've never thought before. But that's very rare. Most people will never admit openly that they're wrong. They just kind of change their mind quietly, right? And they kind of just slip away, and you'll never know the seed that you planted, right? But the point is that like you are planting those seeds, even if you don't know which ones come to fruition. At the end of the day, you are planting those seeds. You may never see the result of it, but you are. And so, you know, because at the end of the day, our flesh is very arrogant. It's very prideful. It's very egotistical. It's very hard to sit down and actually admit like I was wrong. That is a hard thing to do. That's why even at the end of the day, when I debated Zach on his platform, I said like, thank you for actually doing this though, because it is hard to sit here and actually have that conversation. And most people will not do it. They refuse. So the fact that he's actually willing to sit down and do it, you know, props to him. Unfortunately, he still seems to be stuck in his whatever, or it could be a case of, again, he's just not admitting it openly and publicly because it would lose him a lot of money for him to do that. But at the end of the day, you don't know what seeds you may have planted, right? So
yeah, for every person that comes out and says that openly, like you changed my mind, and there was a bunch in my comments alone. For every one that says that, there's 100 that are they're on their way to your side. They're on their way to your side. But one point I did want to make here is that as dumb as the liberal ideology is, it has more merit than 99% of what these people are actually saying when it comes to the Charlie Kirk investigation. This stuff is so low IQ and such filled with cognitive dissonance and just denial and delusion that it's hard to sit here and that's why it's so hard to listen to. It really is. It's like, my God, man, what you were saying is so dumb and makes zero sense, but you just got to sit there and grin and bear and wait for the next problem to expose itself. Jay Witt up in the house. Two of my favorites. Don't be discouraged. Remember that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Baron Coleman and Candace are as lost as any sinner. They need Christ. Absolutely. So who is this chick in the middle? Because it's not Erika. He's talking about the thumbnail. Look, I'll let you guys in on a little inside baseball. So I have a guy that does our thumbnails. All right. And his, well, I'll just tell you, he's in the Philippines, but he does really good work and he does really good thumbnails. But he's 13 hours ahead of us, right? So sometimes when we decide to do these live streams, Jen's been using AI, and that was about the 5th iteration. You should have seen the first iteration that she did. Probably wasn't 5, but there was a couple iterations. I was like, "No, that ain't gonna work." One of them had Lisa looking so weird. I was like, "My God, she would kill me if I put that up there." I was like, "Fix that." So we get it.
Isn't it crazy how AI can be like so spot on that like it looks so real and you can't even tell the difference? And then there's other AI that is just so bad and you're like, what happened?
Just about every time it does a picture rendition, it just gets enough little details off to like just really annoy me. Like even I look at that picture, I'm like, that's not me. There's clearly some different things. Anyways, long story short, what happens is as an interim or a temporary thumbnail, because we got to have one to post it, we'll throw that up there, and then my guy will actually come in afterwards and clean it up and put a much better one in there. So anyways, that's some inside behind the scenes stuff for you guys. Thank you, Refinish Deborah, for becoming a member. Gary, thoughts on podcast members exclusive defensive pistol carbine training course, learn skills, meet your loyal members? Yeah, the only challenge with that, Lucas, is 99% of our members are going to be outside the area. Maybe we can do that in the future. We'll continue to build, or maybe even, maybe we'll go, I don't know, hold a course in like the middle of the country somewhere, and everybody can come and do something like that. I like the idea, though. Thanks for the laughs. You're welcome. Gary, can you address why the Google Doc says 2026, not 2025, since all of Barron's people here are going crazy and love to shut them up, please?
What Google Doc are they referencing?
Are they talking about?
This is where, we haven't watched Barron yet, so we don't know all of his nonsense yet. So
I don't know what Google Doc you're talking about. Are you talking about this one? No, not that one. Hold on. This?
The itinerary. That's not a Google Doc. Yeah, that's
2025.
Okay. The itinerary. 2026 and not 2025. What are they talking about? It does say 2025, guys.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me pull it up on my phone so I can see the detail, but I'm
That's why I
pretty
printed this out. Everything on here says 2025.
Yeah, it says 9/10 of 2025, 9/10 of 2025, Wednesday, September 10th, which is the correct day. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that says 2026 at all. Now, I do want to, are you okay if we go over some of the things that they're saying are wrong with this?
We can do whatever you'd like. Hold on, let me make sure that's the last. Yeah. Yep, that's the last one. Hold on. Kenny Colt equal the new left. It's crazy. I say this next all the time. Agree. I think they are the left. They
Yeah, they
They
are.
are the left. I missed this one. Gary, it's important to point out that what you are doing is making a difference. More and more people are standing up against evil, and more people are leaving the cult. I agree. And look, Lisa and I were talking about that before the show. This is something that I try to talk about to other creators. Like, I know it's, and people contact me, or I hear, as a matter of fact, just today, I reached out to a content creator that I heard that was getting really discouraged. And I reached out to this person and I said, man, don't, like, we need you. Don't get discouraged. We're just letting them win. If that's what they're like, again, like, you can call me whatever. Sometimes it irritates me, but it doesn't. Like, if you want to fuel me to keep going at something, try to get me to stop. That's just how I tick.
Okay, so what they're saying is the map down at the bottom.
Mhm.
So the little map portion that shows like the flight from point A to point B, that
Yeah.
says map data 2026 Google INEGI.
Okay.
I don't know why that's the case. I guess that's going based off of when it was printed.
Yeah. I mean,
Um
what's crazy about that?
yeah, I would just say that that's clearly showing that it wasn't printed off in 2025. It was printed off in 2026, but I don't. And then someone is trying to say that Caitlin Kolvet's name is spelled incorrectly, and I do not believe that that is accurate at all. But
And what does that prove if it was misspelled correctly?
that whichever assistant
Whoever
at Turning
down the
Point, yeah,
name.
whatever assistant at Turning Point who set up this flight, like put her name in wrong because they were kind of in a hurry. It was kind of an emergency, but whatever, that's fine. But yeah, so somebody ran this document through AI, and Grok obviously spit back some what they said were inconsistencies. Okay, and so I want to cover those really quickly.
Sure.
I posted about them on my X today too as well. So the main one that they're saying is that this tail number, the N8 whatever 72RA.
Yeah.
N872RA, yeah. That is no longer registered to Paradise Jets. It is now registered under the operation of Regency Air. And Grok is saying that this is an inconsistency. Well, there's a simple explanation for that, guys. The plane may have been sold. Paradise Jets may have sold this plane to Regency Air, and so now it is under their operating number, because it says that the operating number listed there no longer matches Paradise Jets, which,
Or
again,
Paradise Jets could have been leasing that and decided to
yeah,
move
who
it over to
knows?
somewhere else and get a different plane, or reduce their fleet, or increase their fleet with different jets. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, you guys have
Who
solved
knows?
the case. Like,
We need to all remember that this incident took place 6 months ago. So in that 6-month time, who knows what happened with that actual aircraft and whose hands it was exchanged through or whatever. I don't know how this works with airplanes, if it's like car dealerships and how they swap out their inventory. I'm not exactly sure. But at the end of the day, there's I looked it up and I said, okay, like I went to the FFA registry and I put the information in to see if it would show like previous owners or like a bill of sale. It doesn't show it there. You actually have to go to there's a website where you can purchase the bill of sale, but it was $85 freaking dollars, and I'm not paying for that. So I put it on my thing. I said, look, if one of you in the candy cult, if you want to go pay the $85 to get the bill of sale to see if they sold it to Regency in that time frame, you go for it and let me know about it and I'll post it. But I was like, I'm not paying that. So
well, and these small charter flight companies are the exact same as transportation companies. Most of the time, they're not buying these planes outright to begin with. They're leasing them for an extended period of time, and then they either let them go back, they switch them out, whatever. But the
Right.
fact is like most of these are under lease. They're not being purchased. So
right.
And look, this is just a perfect example. Here we just saw Baron Coleman's unhinged rants, like, give me this information. We need it. Like demanding information that you have absolutely no business having to begin with. But when they do get the information, the reason they want it is not because you are going to satisfy them. It just gives them new content. That's what it is, folks. Now I can spend the next week going through this and making my imbecile followers believe that I have debunked this whole thing. It's the whole shtick. It's the whole
The other thing was that when they ran it through AI, they ran through my version that I highlighted sections for my video because I had used it in my video to draw people's attention to the points that I was making, because that's what you do when you're trying to present information. And what AI came back and said is that the document had been altered based off of the highlighted points and the blacked out information, where they blacked out certain privacy. They blacked out the crew's information, and they blacked out the planner's information, because that's obviously somebody at Turning Point, and I'm guessing it probably had their personal information, so they blacked that out. So yes, that's going to come up on Grok as it being altered, because yes, guys, I added the highlighted portions. Yes, the blacked out portions were added on after the fact to the document, but that does not mean that the document is fake or like debunks it at all, because I put highlighting on there. Yes, I did. Correct.
Well, and there's some things that, look, Grok is really good, or any AI is good at aggregating information and, giving you, organizing information and presenting of information that's already available. Going through and freaking validating documents, that's not something that it's good at least definitely not what's current, commercially available. I'm sure maybe like, if you have some supercomputer and you have AI database or something like that, some advanced machine learning, maybe it would be, but that's not going to give you this, especially when there's clear, like, oh my God, if I put this in AI right now and I said, was this altered? Of course it's going to come back, it's altered. Like we have portions of this information blacked out. So just quit being stupid, people. There's no pleasing these people. Hi, Lisa. So glad Gary has you back on. Gary, you're spot on about Zach. You give him the most charitable assessment, but his fruit says otherwise. Yeah. I mean, that's just, look, let's talk about how that map on the itinerary says 2026, pretty sure a kid Photoshop more accurate than that. I mean, again, I'm pretty sure that, well, I'm going to be nice. It doesn't say 2025. All right. When this pulls this new data, all right, when this pulls the map portion off of this, doesn't mean that this was printed up. All right. What's happening is we're going into a database. We're pulling this out. It is still pulling some of the current information, like the updated data information, because it knows that it's going to create a route from this point to this point, and it's going to pull it off the current Google system. So it's going to say 2026. So
yeah. And guys, breaking news. I have a source, and that source says that this information is going to be further verified even more. So you guys just wait for that to come. But this document is real. I will literally, again, you don't, like, again, I know that that's a trust me bro right now, but I am literally putting my life on this, that this document is absolutely truthful. And again, we have another source that's going to come out here very soon to further verify it. So wait for that, because it's coming.
Yeah. No, there's some Barontards in here. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, they've been in here. I've been seeing them.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. Drinking the Kool-Aid. You guys will accept nothing. You won't accept reality, but you'll accept all the anonymous sources possible. And you'll believe the most ridiculous shit, because there's no other way to describe it. It's just ridiculous shit. And you will just completely reject what is absolutely true. Folks, you will see the evidence that's outlined in the charging documents, in the probable cause affidavit. You're going to see it. And for anyone out there telling you, no, this is all made up, you're not going to see it, we're going to get to the trial and you're going to see something completely different, they are lying to you. They are lying to you. And look, I think Lisa and I both know I know when come the trial, I would love to believe once everything's put out there and all the other mountains of evidence that you don't even know about. This is like the tip of the iceberg of what the actual evidence is. When you see all the mountain of evidence, and it's going to prove that people like me and Lisa and many others out there have been telling you the truth, much at a cost to us, and all these other people that you just been freaking buying into. All right. I was buying into all these other people have been lying to you. I would love to think that we're going to be vindicated, but I realize, just like what Lisa said a second ago, you're not going to accept it. You're going to go with it's all fake. It's all fake. It's all made up. The whole world's in on this whole thing. And you're
It's
just
all fake and gay, guys.
Is the stupidest people on the face of the planet. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to sit
Yep,
there and
for
believe
sure.
it. And you're going to continue to convince yourself that you're just, you got it all. You see the world as it is, and no one else sees it correctly. And the way that you see it correctly, and you have vision that other people don't have, is because you reject reality. That's what you're going to do. You have no ability to, you have no capabilities of logic, no critical thinking.
the fact that I have people in my comments right now who are saying, but Candace said she spoke to Andrew on the phone and he said that the tarmac hug happened. She said it. And I said, you're right. She did say it, and she lied to you. And you now need to accept that she lied to you and wrap your brain around that. I don't know how else to tell you that the Nile is not just a river in Egypt. And at the end of the day, she can say whatever she wants, you guys. Anybody can just say whatever they want. But did she ever provide any actual proof that
No.
that phone call ever happened? Did she ever provide any emails or anything back and forth where Andrew is like in black and white saying that this hug supposedly happened on a tarmac? No, she has never produced a single scrap of evidence outside of what she just verbally has said to you. So outside of that, if you chose to believe that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that she lied to you, but that is not tangible proof. Those of us on our side have brought way more to this conversation. Whether you want to believe that itinerary is real or not, we're still bringing way more to this conversation than any of the people who spun this narrative to begin with have ever brought to the conversation. And at the end of the day, with the candy cult, it's always, we want more. Well, there's more. I need more. And I'm just like, you guys, why am I the one that is being grilled to the umpteenth degree again? Yet the person again who literally started this entire thing, there's no rebuttal or pushback on them when, again, they got the flight times completely wrong. The planes are completely wrong. The stops along the flight are completely wrong. There is no Scottsdale stop that ever happened. And yet these
And they
people
completely guessed. They were guessing from the very beginning.
Yes, but
there
there's no
was a flight
questioning
that
them.
Sort of made sense. They decided there was a flight that sort of made sense in their mind, and that's the one they picked and said, this is, and then presented it as fact. They lied to you, folks. You're being lied to. This is exactly why no credible ethical journalist presents information before they have proof and evidence behind it. They don't. You know, an anonymous source used to be like a rare thing. Now we have Candace, Baron Coleman, and all these other folks that build the entire narrative out of these anonymous sources that are lies. They're lying to you. I don't think half those anonymous sources exist. And if they are, they're people that are lying to them to begin with. And they haven't proven their credibility. They have no bona fides, nothing. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, 90% of the time when Candace says, I spoke to someone, I immediately go, no, she didn't. She never spoke to anybody. That person doesn't even exist. Guaranteed.
Prove you've spoken to them. You have to prove to us that you've spoken to them. You need to have them on the record. And this is one of the things I want to point out, folks. I talked about this.
Who's the source for the itinerary? Andrew Kolvet. My God, you guys. Again, a company that is a privately chartered jet company does not release that type of document unless it is to the client themselves.
Yeah. I want to bring up a post and show you guys this, because this is super important to understand. If I can find it here. All right. Make sure this is up on the stage here. And let me pull this one down. All right. This is really important to understand. The truth about Candace Cult's anonymous sources. Anonymous sources should almost always be treated as fiction, but Candace's are especially incredible. Why? Because they're either completely made up, or we're supposed to believe there are people so cowardly they won't show their faces and put their name on a statement, even when they claim to have proof that an innocent man is about to be executed for a crime he didn't commit. That's wild. If the truth is that important, stand up and show your face. Otherwise, it's just convenient conspiracy porn for clicks. Think about this, folks. There are people out there that Candace wants you to believe. There are people out there that have exonerating information that a man's life is on the line, and they don't even have the courage to let you know who they are. Don't you think that is weird? And don't you think that's super convenient if you have a conspiracy con going on? Like, it's just so convenient that all of this information is this hidden knowledge. It's this anonymous sources. And I want you to think about this also. The complaint against the government and Andrew Kolvet and Erika Kirk and TPUSA, the complaint here is that they're not being transparent. Oh my God. There's nothing about this investigation. Let me tell you something. The government has been 10 times more transparent than Candace Owens. She won't let you know who her sources are. She won't let you know where she got this information. She won't even let you see the emails that she allegedly sent to different government agencies claiming that she had a international hit team coming after her. She gives you no. We just found out the other day that she released video footage and pictures that she's been sitting on for 6 months. I mean, there can't be a bigger double standard or pure hypocrisy than someone going around demanding transparency and they're being less transparent than anyone involved in this. Anyone involved in this. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's absolutely, I'm not going to believe anybody that says, hey, you know what? I have that is telling me they've talked to someone that has information that's going to save a man's life, but they won't go on the record. Would you do that? I don't care if it's somebody I didn't even know. If I had exonerated information, like, you know what? Hey, I found this out. I know this is true. This person is about to be killed if I don't get this information out. But no. I'm going to hide behind, like, you know, put on a voice changer, like, hey, I have the secret information. Like, it's ridiculous. You want us to believe that? By the way, on Super Grok, since we're changing gears a little bit, I asked Super Grok to do an independent analysis of what's going on with bots and sock puppet accounts boosting Candace Owens. The bottom line from the independent X analysis, there does appear to be an unusually high volume of accounts behaving like sock puppets or bots, amplifying Candace Owens. Repetitive, low engagement, thematically coordinated replies that stand out even in high traffic threads. You can go read the rest of this if you like, but that is the short answer of it. So that's what's happening on X and every other platform. Folks, there's something going on, and I think there's multiple different countries involved. I think there's political entities and organizations involved that are paying for the boosting of what she's saying and what she's doing. What else on this before we trek over to Baron Coleman's flop show?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could give you guys my theory really quick, which I will be clear is just my theory. So you know how she recently just randomly attacked Nick Shirley, like out of left field?
Yeah.
Totally random, right? Well, but here's the thing, it's not random. Not when you actually, again, start to put the pieces together, right? So what did Nick Shirley recently uncover?
Fraud.
A whole lot of fraud, right?
Yeah.
That was happening in Minnesota, primarily dealing with refugees from the Middle East that happen to be involved in the Islamic religion specifically, and how they are literally taking U.S. taxpayers for a ride. Yeah, I don't think that Candace has been linked to a lot of these foreign monies, like, you know, foreign money that's coming in from all of these other countries. And a lot of them are connected to, you know, Qatar, Muslim Brotherhood, like a lot of these Islamic organizations that are pushing this stuff in the West. And then she just so happens to strategically go after the one reporter who is like uncovering all of this fraud from these refugees who come from these places specifically. I don't think that that's a coincidence, just saying. And then literally 2 days later, we have Nick Shirley and Benny Johnson sitting down with JD Vance to actually go over like what their investigation has uncovered, and that Ilhan Omar herself was involved in it, and they know that she was involved in it, that Tim Walz, the governor, covered it up, and they know that he did. And yeah, again, I don't think that that's a coincidence. But putting all of that together in my head of what I've put together the last couple of months, again, my theory, this is my personal opinion, I want to put that out there. I think that the long game, we're not talking about chess here or checkers here, we're talking about chess, right? I think eventually the plan with Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Carrie Prejean, Joe Kent, all of these names that are coming out in support of all this garbage, I think they're going to launch their own political party. They have been very strategic in separating themselves from Donald Trump and MAGA and the GOP, and literally trying to make this separation. And it's all around the Jew hatred. At the end of the day, it's anti-Israel, and they're saying, oh, hey, you hate the Jews, but you don't want to be a liberal because they're the ones that primarily hate the Jews right now. Well, look over here. We're going to give you the conservative Christian option where you can still be a conservative, you can still have your Christian values, but you can hate the Jews. And here it is. Here's the party. Here's our candidates. Here's our people. And trying to get one of them put into office. I think that that is the long game. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take them to get to that point, but I think that they're going to try to present a conservative option for the Jew hatred.
No, I've said the exact same thing. I think it's going to be slightly different, but I think what they want is they definitely want the Republicans to lose the midterms. And what that leaves them with is 2 years of Donald Trump having a lame duck presidency. And the entire time you're going to have the liberals, you're going to have this woke right talking about, Trump being a completely feckless, ineffective president. And, basically MAGA has destroyed the conservative right. I think the new woke right, number one, they're going to be running against MAGA. At the same time, they're going to be opposition party, direct opposition to Democrats as well. I think they want to hijack the conservative movement in the same way that MAGA took over the Republican Party. The woke right wants to take over the Republican Party, and they don't care what happens in 2028. They just want Donald Trump to fail. They don't want MAGA to continue in 2028. They want the Democrats to win in 2028 so they can be the opposition party, which is always more effective. That's what they're going to do so that they can win ultimately in 2032. That's the play. And by then, I think they think that they can completely take over the conservative movement, the Republican Party, whatever you want to call it, in the same way that MAGA did. But they're not going to. There's not as much support. The good news, folks, is that there's not nearly as much support for them as that we even perceive here on social media. It's not even close. We have like 98% of Trump voters still highly favorable of Trump. It's that 2% that seems like a lot, boosted by bots on top of it, that seems like they're the majority when they are such a small minority that it's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, so Zach Costello himself, like on his channel, I think it was last week, he actually announced that him and a friend of his have been working behind the scenes to launch their own nonprofit, and apparently they're saying that they got all their permitting and licensing and everything that they need to like make it official. But essentially, it's going to be their version of TPUSA, but for all of these, the anti-Zionist right conservative side of everything. And so I don't know, I'm wondering if they're kind of going to put their feelers out with that type of thing first and then kind of go from there. But I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it'll be the Christian anti-Semitic party. You might as well just call them Nazis. I mean, I really don't know the difference, to be honest with you. I mean, the ideology, the thoughts, everything they say is exact same as it's Nazi ideology is really what it is.
Literally.
Yeah. If there wasn't provable evidence, Robinson wouldn't be sitting in jail. Exactly. I think Candace had this whole psyop plan from day one of Charlie's murder. I don't know if it was day one, but it didn't take long. And then I think she started going, look, I think Candace started this just doing what Candace does on her own thing. And then I think there's a lot of different forces, including foreign adversaries, that saw an opportunity and started pushing and amplifying her signal. And they've just continued to add on to this. I kind of think
I think the whole Israel did it thing was the plan from the very beginning, to try to blame it on them, because she's been on that trope for a long time. But then the rest of it has definitely morphed over time, for sure.
Well, it's just such a weird coincidence that somehow who killed Charlie Kirk was the French that she had been raving against for the last year, Israel that she had been raving against for the last year, and she never liked the U.S. military. She's always been suspicious. She always casts aspersions with anybody that is in the U.S. military, except for Joe Kent. Joe Kent, he's a saint. Don't worry about that little guy.
Yeah, funny how that works.
If you notice, she says something one day, and then magically the next day an anonymous source shows up with the same thing, but they're real sources. Yeah. It's very convenient. It's very convenient that all these anonymous sources always jump in here and confirm exactly what she proposed to begin with. I'm doing this live. I was the first at hand source for the 5-man team that walked up to the extortion crash site. Really? Being anonymous means you have something to hide. Grow up, people. Much respect, Gary. That's pretty wild, Sergeant Will. Candace Owens has a pattern. I think Nick Shirley is her next hit piece. Erika fizzled out. She needs a new Republican bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she got her marching orders, that's for sure.
She went after Nick because he was getting a lot of eyes on him for an actual investigation. It was jealousy. No one can stand is Miss Owens spotlight. No one can stand in Miss Owens spotlight. You're right. I think she's just so petty. I think that's actually a lot of what's going on here. I think that has kind of fizzled out. I think she's kind of put her toe in the water, realized she's not going to get the response because no one's going to buy that. Like, here we have a woman that claims to be a journalist that literally never leaves she never gets her ass out of the chair. She sits in front of a camera. She's never went there. She doesn't interview eyewitnesses. She doesn't bring on subject matter experts in law and investigations and forensic analysis. She's never had anybody to do anything. She has a lot of research. She's never been to the location. She has a lot of resources at her disposal. She's never went out there and made a 3D model and gave it to people. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm just like, what's the natural steps that an investigator would take? Look, we're trying to find out information. Number one, I need to go there, get my eyes on the location. Let me see what's happening here. Let me get some truth on the ground. Let me talk to people while I'm there. Like, these are all just obvious steps, but she doesn't do that. She sits there and waits for lunatics that are going to email her, and she picks whatever one that she cherry picks information. She's never had every single eyewitness that I've talked to, folks, and I've talked to more than a dozen at this point. I think I've had 5 or 6 on the channel itself. Every single one has the same story. Every single one of them has had the same story that confirm everything. Every single one of them that I've talked to believe that Tyler Robinson 100% is the one that took that shot. You think she's going to bring on any eyewitnesses that would take away from that? No, it's too much of a risk. That's going to end her grift. And by the way, if I had an eyewitness that told something completely different, even if I didn't think they were legit, I would still let them come on and say those things and present it to you so you can take it part of the information set and make your own decision. I don't have any problem of that at all. Are you twins? No, we're not twins. We're not related. Apparently, we're just wearing the same color shirt. All right. Anything else before we jump over to Baron?
Nope. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Bring on the stupidity.
The only thing worse than Fed slop by far is the Candace Owens and Baron Coleman slop. It is bad. I love the fact there are definitely people pushing back.
Know whether to put it on today or not, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We got a lot to talk about. We might have to go full bad cop at some point today because we've got a debunking to do.
We got a debunking to do. Shame on you guys. Shame on you guys. Shame on you guys over there. Absolutely despicable attempt at trying to establish an alibi. We've had to do this before. We've had to do this before, ladies and gentlemen. We've had to get out the bad cop hat and take apart alibis. I'm not afraid to do it again. I'm not opposed. But for now, we'll stay okay cop, not good cop, not bad cop, but we'll stay okay cop. We'll stay okay cop for now. And then we'll get into the nitty gritty and decide if we have to go absolutely bonkers or not, ladies and gentlemen. So I got a couple things I want to bring out of the way before we get to the opening statement. The opening statement today is fun. Here's a couple that did not watch all 11. I want to advise people, and I've had people encourage me, you need to debate this person. You need to debate that person.
Oh, here we go.
You have to establish a ground rule. And if you're going to debate a trial, I suggest the burden of proof that goes with trials. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove Tyler Robinson didn't take a shot. I don't have to prove anything. You have to prove he did. You have to prove he did and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in order to win the debate and thus the trial. And I would suggest to you that there's just not the evidence from which to have a seasoned debate, a reasonable debate right now. Here's why.
This is so disingenuous. Again, he also understands how evidence works and how the evidence has to be valid and validated in the process that it goes through. So his entire last 6 months of saying that this evidence isn't real, this evidence is garbage, he's such a freaking liar, and he's so disingenuous, and he's doing it for money. He is doing it for money. Now, I bet we probably already has 100,000. I'm like, Barry Coleman is challenging Candace Owens for views right now. I mean, it's getting darn close.
Why? The only thing we have is the charging document. That's it. That's the only evidence they're going to be able to present is the charging document.
Well, it's not the only. Again, he's lying to you folks. It is not the only evidence. We had Andrea Burkhart to come on here and explain this multiple times. Folks, the evidence is continuing to pile up. Since the charging documents were released on September, I believe it was 16th, they have continued to add evidence every single day. I'm sure that's slowed down a lot, but for the month after that, we had Utah with the assistance of FBI providing more evidence, talking to more witnesses, collecting more forensics. All the forensics that they collected at the time at UVU during the 3 days that they had that, 98% of that was not even kind of processed to the point to where they could actually add it to the evidence pool. It wasn't. And again, if it was only the charging documents, as he's getting ready to assert, remember when the defense at the first hearing, I think it was in November, they said they needed another 2 months so that they could go through the voluminous amount of evidence that has been presented, because the only thing that's in here are the text messages. The only thing that's in here is some of the surveillance footage. The only thing that's in here is the DNA on the gun. The statements from the parents where he does indeed give a confession. And I will clarify that for you if you'd like. So there was very little evidence, but it was more than enough in the charging documents to present to the judge and get him to agree that there is probable cause to continue to move this investigation forward. So what he's telling you is just demonstrably a lie already.
It's in a few comments made by law enforcement officials, like Cash Patel made a comment about the palm gun and this and that, palm print, on the gun. But what they don't have is this mountain, this overwhelming evidence. There's all this stuff they think they have. And so what are we debating? Like, I'm still trying to figure out who was where, when, how, all these types of things in order to.
What he's continuing to do is continue to come up with ideas of how he can just, without being challenged too much, the gaps in information that he can fill with bullshit. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. But anyways, you got anything to add to that, Lisa?
No, I think this is just a cop out. He knows that Andrew Wilson is a very heavy debater, and he is going to do everything he can to tuck tail and run. But he's got to dress it up all fancy, right?
But until we start seeing,
yes,
give it a good show to his audience on why he can't just say no. He's got to make it look all, well, we have to have a strategic topic to discuss. You can absolutely work that out. What are you talking about? Like, he's just a coward.
Clearly there's things that Baron Coleman believes and has asserted on his show time and time again. And that's the only thing that we need to debate. Like, why are you stating this as fact? Because there's things that you've asserted that you've stated as fact that Andrew Wilson is going to come through and just obliterate and show the fact that, number one, you're a con artist, you're lying to your people, you do not believe the things that you're saying. That's what he's going to do. And he's afraid. He's afraid of doing it. At least, for what it's worth, at least Zach Costello will come on and do that. All right. Nobody else on their side will. I've extended this offer to many people. I put it up on Twitter. Hey, anybody that wants to come on my show that believes you're bullshit, you're welcome to come on my show and we'll talk about it. I know that you have extended that same offer to people as well, Lisa.
I'm literally going on a podcast on Monday. I'm going on a Candy Cult members podcast live on Monday, and we're going to debate. So, yeah, absolutely.
Some semblance of evidence. All we have is an affidavit and a charging document. I'll be happy to debate people on that. I'll be happy to. You go through the charging document, you read what it says, you tell me you're in times. That way.
All right. I want to get to where he's talking about the itinerary
before the edition. I was like, okay. So I went up there and he said, what are you doing? Because I told him it was my first trial. Introduced.
Nobody cares, Baron.
Who killed Charlie Cooper and what does? Well, I think they're doing a lot of really good work. I'm talking about the different ideas for how I for them. Let me get into the opening statement. This opening statement's good. This goes in American history. And I want to detail it specifically, though. I actually had specific me here of most. Okay. Ted Bundy was a charismatic. Ted Bundy fights tonight has self-retrical been. He also went much further. He mocked the charges.
All right, folks. Again, this is narrative framing. I want you to see what he's doing, and Candace does this every single time. He's going to go to an unrelated case, and he's going to bring up all this stuff, and basically, hey, these things were true, so therefore this has to be true. He's getting you nodding, saying, "Yep. Look, this is psychological operation, information operations 101. This is what they do. This isn't sophisticated. It's not that hard to see through. It's basic shit. And if you are taken in by this nonsense, then you are a gullible moron. Period. You may not like that, but that's true."
He turned them into punchlines.
There you go.
He declared rather than resignation in the night accused of this. He was confident. Nor at Glenwood Springs, Colorado. He was found across the country in Florida. As him with the Kimberly, the sheriff, the press, loudest in the as his own lawyer, he cross-examined.
Again, we got hours of storytelling of what I'm assuming he's telling you of cases that proven to be false. Cases that, look, I can go through and I can do a podcast 10 days of all the people that have been put on death row and potentially even executed, which later on we found out there was evidence. Does that happen? Absolutely true. Absolutely it does. There's no doubt about it. It's why there's a big part of me now that I'm kind of against the death penalty unless certain circumstances are met, because there have been too many people put to death under false pretenses. We'll say that. That does not mean that everybody on death row is not guilty. Matter of fact, 99% of them are guilty. And then the other thing, I want your take on this, Lisa, because I was thinking about this with Zach, because this is another one of the false narratives. He goes back and he says, well, this is almost guaranteed to not be true because we've had the government lie to us about COVID, about the elections, about this, about that. Like, first of all, the last time I checked, that was the Biden administration. Did you vote for Donald Trump? I'm sure he did, or I hope he did. I don't know. But we have a new government in here. And just because that's true doesn't make anything that we're proposing here true. If what he's saying had logical merit, then we just need to empty all of our prisons of anybody that's convicted, because the government lies. The government lies. Chances are all of those are lies. Let's just empty the prisons because the government lies sometimes, Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, I am also against the death penalty, but not for the reasons that a lot of people think. I'm against it for the fact that, yeah, a lot of times I am skeptical of our government, and I don't trust them, right? I don't think that our government should ever have a vested interest in ending the lives of their own citizens. It doesn't ever bode for us, the people. So at the end of the day, I would always advocate for a life sentence over that of a death sentence. Also, I believe that statistics show that the death penalty just is not effective. It's pretty useless. It doesn't reduce recidivism rates. It doesn't reduce violent crime. It doesn't. It costs us more as taxpayers than due to the number of appeals that they get and all of that. When you're trying to take someone's right to life, you have to give them a chance to like show over and over again that that's not the case, right? So there's multiple reasons why I'm against it, not outside of just like I don't want to like kill people, but all that to say, even if Tyler Robinson gets a life sentence, yeah, I mean, just because there are some individuals who have been found to be innocent on death row, like you said, that doesn't mean that we should just let everybody out of death row. The vast majority of them are absolutely guilty. And when you look at these organizations that actually are supposed to speak on behalf of these people, what is it? Project Innocence, or the Innocence
Yeah.
Project, I
The
mean.
Innocence Project, yeah.
Yeah, they're shady as hell. And the people that they choose to defend, like Robert Robinson, that dude is disgusting. If you actually look into the case and what he did, it's completely different than the way that they've tried to present it. They do the same thing Candace does. They omit information, they change things around to make it look like these people are innocent when they absolutely are not. So,
Yeah.
yes, I'm against the death penalty, but I'm not okay with a lot of the talking points of the anti-death penalty crowd. We'll just say that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Anna Osley says Barron is a lawyer. He gets paid to lie, and he's definitely not above it. And especially when he's making the money that he's making. We calculated a couple episodes just off super chats and his views. He's probably making somewhere around $60,000 a month. All riding on Candace.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know it.
Rage, Bronson, I was actually, while at the beginning of the show, I actually pulled up Barron's podcast, was getting ready to show that and just getting it prepped. And it just happened to be exactly when he was presenting your super chat. So I paused it right there and I presented that. And by the way, I sent you a link. If you'd like to jump in here with us, we'd love to have you. If you can save us from having to sit through any bit of this, you're welcome to come on and to kind of summarize what some of the things that he was saying. I would much prefer to talk to you than to listen to him. So eventually a guest link, you're welcome to jump on if you can. I can't wait to see the evidence against the armed queers. Hopefully this trial gets to the root of this type of funding, but you know who. Yeah, so there is an article. I need to pull it up. We just pulled it up the other night on a space, actually. Look, they are under investigation. There could be a link, but there may not be a link with enough evidence to even charge them with anything. And they could have been talking for a long time, offline, whatever else, training together. There is evidence that they were aware, that Tyler Robinson was aware, and he could have been talking to these people. There's no doubt about it. If they were at all careful. And here's the thing, just because he was indoctrinated by their ideology, it doesn't mean that they directed him to do something. I want people to get their mind right. And that's probably why we're not going to see charges. This could have been one of those things where, again, he's being indoctrinated by these people. And I do think there's an element that he was trying to be a hero and impress the LGBTQ freaking trans crowd. I think
which is why he was bragging about it all over the place after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. He wanted accolades from everybody to see that he was this courageous warrior of the Antifa and trans Tifa. Not just the charging documents to presented because I'm waiting for the ballistics report of all the evidence. I am too. I'm waiting for that as well.
Well, and we've got this hearing that's coming up in May. It's the what is it? I don't remember what it's called, but it's the type of hearing where they're going to like evidentiary. They're gonna actually start to lay out more I think they said it on the Charlie Kirk show. Andrew Kolvet and Blake Neff, they both said, like, yeah, in this hearing that's coming up in May, like more evidence will be presented to the public. So,
yeah,
looking forward to that.
Me too. Trying to find that exact when that is. March 30.
As long as they don't move it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll try to find that while we're doing other things. All right. I don't know if Bronson will be able to come on or not. I guess we're stuck listening to Baron Coleman. All right.
Examined witnesses, including he had travesty against him was built on innuendo, gossip, and accusations.
Oh, it's just
his voice was steady.
Same thing you're building the case against Erika on. Oh, look, here we go. Here we go. Let's play what he
I was saying, just find my face and then can we just start referring to him as the Mad Hatter, please?
Done a good job here on this show as well. But I don't think anybody, honestly, has done as good
as me,
as a guy named Gary from Paramount Tactical. I'm going to show you just a little bit of the hard work Gary has done. I've done it. I'm going to go back in time. This is an excellent, excellent piece of reporting Gary did here. He basically tricked Gary's son into confirming. He tricked Mitch Snow's son into confirming that Mitch Snow was at Fort Huachuca. That was not.
Let me tell you guys why the many reasons this is a lie. Number one, I spoke to Mitch Snow's son 2 times on the phone. We talked about this phone call that he received from Fort Huachuca both times. Now, what Baron Coleman is going to assert here is that I said that Mitch Snow was never at Fort Huachuca, and we'll let him play this out, and then we'll show definitive proof that he's lying once again.
No, in fact, that was hotly debated at the time. If you remember, if you go back in time, when the Mitch Snow idea first populated, there was a lot of doubt whether he was even there.
No, there wasn't.
But they couldn't get it past Gary. They tried. They tried to get it past Gary. They tried to lie. They tried to feed him bad information. Gary's like a top-tier investigative reporter. I'll show you what I mean. When your own child is trashing you, you must be a bad guy. Nothing you say can be believed. Surely no one will believe you're at Fort Huachuca. After that, well, let's see how that went. I will suggest it did not go as planned.
Security clearance.
Or if he does walk into the Joint Task Force staff duty, he might end up detained and outside getting the canines called on him as per this report, which, again, I don't even know if this report is real or not.
Oh, Gary doesn't know if the report's real or not. Hey, Mitch Snow's son, that's probably your indication to play into that. Lean into that, Mitch Snow's son. Let's go with we don't know if the report's real. What say you, Mitch Snow's son?
There's so much craziness going on with this report.
I mean,
plate number.
They called me on September 9th.
Hold on. They called him. The Fort Huachuca called the guy. Fort Huachuca called Mitch Snow's son on September 9th.
I'm so
glad. It gets worse. I want you to count the number of times Gary blinks.
Oh, because I'm blinking.
Watch the fight or flight response kick in. All that military training out the window the moment the kid outs you. All that military training just goes away. All the ability to withstand the pressure. All the ability to be cool under pressure, cool under fire. Watch how many times he blinks.
Asking me if I knew anything about a Mitch Snow and telling me that I was listed as his
oh my God, look at me losing
emergency contact.
Look at
and
me.
I just remember sitting there for
a
minute, like, I don't know a Mitch Snow. I don't know why I'd be on somebody's emergency contact.
Did you see the big breath?
Getting ready to interrupt him. This is so ridiculous. Hold on. I'm going to let him keep going here.
I think he sucked in like 9 gallons of air. He blinked 10 times in under 5 seconds and then sucked in at least 15 gallons of air all at once. Oh, no. It can't have gotten worse, Gary.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
As you see, he did yeoman's work. Gary played a brilliant game here, a brilliant game, because Gary took to the airwaves under the idea he was luring in Mitch Snow's son, acting as if he was a friendly.
All right. So again, what we have here is a complete mischaracterization. He is lying through his teeth, folks. I'm going to pull up a video for you real quick. And matter of fact, I'm just going to present it up here, so I don't have to find it on my computer. So I've played this multiple times on. That's downloading on the computer here, but I want to show this to you, and we're going to demonstrate fully that he's lying. Now I have a folder here where it's under while that's downloading. That's not it. I had no idea he was going to bring this up, or I would have happily had this ready. Go ahead and comment on that if you will, Lisa. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm just interested to actually see what the full context is, because I know that he obliterated it because that's what they do. So I haven't seen that full interview. I haven't watched it, so I'm interested to see how he cut and sliced it.
Hold on, I'll wait for that video to download. Where was Oh, here we go. All right, hold on. I found it. And I will share this with you guys. Now, he just sat there and said that I denied that Mitch Snow was ever on the base. That's his accusation there. Let me remove that. Let me add this to the stage. Oh, Bronson's in the chat. Let's bring him in. Bronson, welcome to the chat, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Doing great, actually. This is fun.
It is fun. So did you watch his entire show?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
I
You.
know. Good for me. It was so wonderful.
While I'm pulling this up, where is the stupid folder?
Did you guys get to the part where he calls Lisa a broad yet? That was pretty fun.
No.
Oh, there's a lot of goodies in here.
We're just to Mitch Snow and when Gary was talking to his son and how he cut and sliced that.
Oh, yeah. He completely spins that. So he's selling the point that Gary somehow was trying to show that Mitch Snow was never at Fort Hakatua.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But he never shows a clip.
I obviously can't confirm that you saw who you say you saw.
Yeah. So anyways, so he just said that I stated that Mitch Snow was never at Fort Huachuca, and understand what he is referencing. When I talked to Mitch Snow's son was either, I don't know, after January 1st or somewhere around the 25th or 26th, somewhere around there. But
you had to put it at a percentage.
All right, folks, again, this is a very common tactic with disinformation. What they do is they confirm, they show you proof, or say they even confirm the non-material elements of the story. All right, I can confirm you were there. Who cares? Who cares if you can confirm this guy was there, or you can confirm that he stayed at a freaking Best Western somewhere near Fort Huachuca? None of that matters. What matters is you confirm what he's saying, or anything. I mean, she confirms nothing ever. I mean, that's the problem with all this stuff. So there's that. I don't doubt that he was, matter of fact, I'm quite sure he was down at Fort Huachuca. That doesn't mean anything. So for those of you who don't know, Candace Owens shared, let me see, shared this, I don't know, as proof that Mitch Snow was there. And again, I don't doubt that Mitch Snow was there. And then she gives you this trash right here and says, oh, this is proof that the entire thing happened. I don't care if Mitch was at Fort Huachuca. All right. The reason he got detained is because, well, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with him. So anyways, I just, I'm blown away at the cognitive dissonance of the Candace crowd. They demand so much proof from all the accused, but they demand zero proof from the accuser. And that is not how this works. That's not how a normal society works. And it's quite insane in my opinion. All right, so that's like a couple of minutes worth of activity between the time they encountered this individual to the time the police were called at 11:17. So this debunks the entire thing. He didn't go in there at 7:37. So understand, folks, the claim from Mitch Snow is that he arrived at 7:37. 7:37, and he saw Brian Harpole walking out around like 7:40, 7:45, something like that. But according to this, according to the document that Candace submitted to us as proof, this, I don't know, a military incident report. All right, this claims this all happened around 11 a.m. 3 hours later, at least 3 hours later. But again, the point here is that this is clear evidence that I never claimed that he wasn't there. I was sure he was there because that's how cons work. You gotta prove a fact that is not material to the major claims. Because if I can prove that, then you're more likely to believe me about the material claims when I don't have any evidence of that. That's how this works every single time. Which is what originally was stated. Just didn't happen. Because unless you're saying that this is a lie, and if this is a lie, then why show it? So either this is accurate or it's not. And if it's not, then this doesn't prove anything on your point. And I don't care if it does. I don't doubt that he was there. All right. He's a weirdo. They said he was acting weird, making threats. The next thing you know, bomb dogs are called. Like that. What was he doing to warrant this reaction? Being a psycho. And that's what he does. So who cares if he was there? Brian Harpole wasn't there. Erika Kirk wasn't there. And no matter amount of proof, again, we have no proof of any of this. And they don't want to give you any proof of any of this. They don't want to give you any proof of any allegations, but they demand that you prove with evidence your innocence. That's not how the system works. All right, that's crazy. We're in crazy land. And the fact that that's the standard on which Candace operates constantly it's just retarded. Absolutely retarded. Why was he at Fort Huachuca? Doesn't he live in Washington? Long trip. I know I drive for a living, a little close to the border if the cartel is after you. We've never gotten that. He claims that he went down there to get military records. I doubt that's true. Hey, look, and he's with another woman that I guarantee you is funding his life. Her name's Amy Snow. And I'm sure he fed her a story. And this is speculation. All right. This is just me talking off the top of my head. But, he probably want to go on a road trip and say, hey, you know what? Let's go down to Fort Huachuca and get some military records. Like you can mail those things. You can get those electronically. You don't need to go down there to get. Now, his story is that there's these classified records of a drug bust that was public. There's videotapes of it. He wasn't even involved. And we know he wasn't involved because I have his AAM write-up that talks about when he was supporting down there. And that's the thing that we see time and time again, is that he went down to support the border operations back in 1990. And then probably before or after or whatever else. Look, here's one of the things that he told me when I asked him about the story. And this is where I'm talking about where you hear bits of truth and then we go off into crazy town. He was conveying the story to me. He's like, yeah, we got literally tons and tons. This is what he told me. Tons and tons of cocaine. And it was all in the back of the truck. And they were like, hey, you're like one of the lowest ranking guys out here. You got to go burn all that stuff. He said, I he was made responsible for burning literally tons of drugs in piles and destroying piles of rifles and other weapons. That's not how we do this. We don't just take cocaine or whatever drugs it was, heroin, cocaine, I don't know even what it was, and we just put it there, and we put Private Snuffy in charge of freaking burning this while he just sits there. The DEA would handle that. The DEA would seize those drugs and take them off. You're not giving it to Private Snuffy and just like, oh, put it in a bonfire. Like, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. He probably did go down there. He probably did place some sensors and support border operations for a TDY deployment down there. And then at some point, either that drug bust occurred before or occurred after, and then he inserted himself into it, came up with this cartel, witness protection. His commanders gave all of his information. Insane. And, you know, that's the thing, too, is like I literally have a Army Achievement Medal write-up for that after he got back from it. There's no mention in there about assisting with a drug bust. That would be in there because that's something that you would put in there to support him getting the award. So there we go, folks. Multiple times prior to me actually interviewing Mitch Snow's son, me saying, I'm sure he was there. I'm sure he was there. There was never a time that I said that he wasn't there. That's a lie and something he makes up and likes to sit there and, you know, create a distraction about, but it's just not true. All right, let's share this tab instead. So Bronson, what did he say about the actual, did he say about
itinerary?
Yeah, the actual itinerary.
I couldn't even summarize it. You're going to have to watch it. It's the most like twisted. Have you guys? Yeah, yes, correct. You nailed it. If you go, I think it's like 32 minutes in. That's when he's talking about you and Lisa.
All right.
I don't know if you've gotten to that point yet.
And then what Gary did was he hit him with the police report. I don't even know if this police report's real. He had to have known the police called him. I mean, did you not do a pre-interview? You don't talk to people before you put them on? He had to have known. Gary, we appreciate your hard work there, friend. That was stellar. Would have been submitted. He could have passed Gary. Prove that Gary wanted to help us out. It keep
it's a little past that.
About not Egyptian. Raises the question.
He's such a propagandist, man.
Oh, Gary. They're proving Tyler Robinson's defense. So, Gary, we appreciate you. You've done a stellar job undermining the TPUSA people while acting like a friendly. It's haven't shown us. Doesn't not kids. I'm saying I was not there. Wasn't there. Instead, they go through these third-party intermediate. There's something you prove, then you not have your cake and eat it too, because they want to say have. I'm going to Gary guest.
There we go.
She comes on Gary's show. She says crazy stuff. I'll give you a sample here where she was attacking your humble host.
Yeah.
I don't care if it was $100,000 a week.
I would be interested to see, since he's a lawyer.
They're talking about me. I'm he. Let's hear what this brilliant woman has to say.
I would be interested to see if you can go in and see if people have reported anything against his law license, or like to the bar, the bar association or anything like that. Because what he's doing, I feel like, violates the
well said. I feel like it violates the well. So this is the girl. Has anyone ever filed a bar complaint against me? Not one that's been accepted by the bar.
Doesn't even play
I'm
that
in
full
3
clip.
states, Gary. You keep saying Florida. I've been licensed in Florida since 2007. 19 years I've been licensed there without incident. No bar complaints, no issues. Again, no for something I said on the radio. This would have been, 7-8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. I'm not sure when it was. She was representing pharmaceutical companies or somebody. She was representing some trade group, I think, and they were arguing against medical marijuana in a health committee in a state legislature. in Alabama. And I suggested that it was weird that she was taking the position of a big pharma whore. Because on the radio, I call people globalist, corporatist whores. That's what they were. These are people who push globalism, who push corporatism over and above humanity. And so I long refer to people like statists, big government people as globalist, corporatist whores. That's what they are. They are prostitutes for that industry, for that position. Likewise, we had war whores, people who are pushing defense and war, like Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee. And then I had big pharma whores. The big pharma whores were people who were pushing big pharma to harm individuals. And so I questioned, why was this woman a big pharma whore? She filed a bar complaint against me and lied in it and said I called her a prostitute. I did not. The tapes were submitted as evidence. Her thing was dismissed before the bar ever accepted it. And they wrote me a nice letter, a very kind letter. And I posted it to Twitter years ago, maybe to Facebook too. A very kind letter they sent back. And they said, essentially, we have refused to accept this. You can go and honestly say no one has ever filed a bar complaint against you. Nevertheless, even though they told me that, I'm going to be honest with you. She tried to file one because I called her a big pharma whore. And she was a big pharma whore. She was. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's happened. But here's the problem with what she's so eloquently trying to say. When you go after a lawyer and you call them a scam artist or a liar like these people have done, you're going right after them in their profession. That's defamation per se. Meaning, if I wanted to file a lawsuit, I could do that. I could file a lawsuit against them and say they're going right after me in my profession. Like if someone's a bad plumber and I go after them and say, this guy can't plumb. He wouldn't know water if it just poured all over him. He doesn't understand how to seal valves. He doesn't know how to use that giant wrench to tighten stuff. He just lets it toilet water going everywhere, ruin. But it wasn't true, right? That's going right after him in his profession. He can sue me. That's defamation per se. The per se means I don't have to prove damages. The damages are presumed. I'm not going to do that because I'm not petty and low down. I don't look at going after people's profession and their ability to care for their 8 children or 2 children or whatever she had, maybe no children. Look at her. I don't go after people like that when we just disagree about a political issue. It's irrelevant to me. I don't go after them when they just go after, a legal case and they take a different side and I have a disagreement about the merits of the legal case. I think that's ludicrous. But that's the kind of people we're dealing with on the other side here. That's the people that we're dealing with. We're dealing with her. She was not content with, what date was this? I might need to use that date. March pre to just Tyler Robb. She's gotten back in it. She has now put up a video. Now that's important to tie to make sure that we know that all of these attempted alibis, the Mitch Snow wasn't at Fort Huachuca. That went through Gary, probably from Andrew. The Erika Kirk was at home. Here's her text message. That went through Gary. And we know it came from Andrew because he was, frankly, such a good investigator. He showed it on the camera. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
So we know there's this Andrew-Gary connection when it comes to establishing alibis. It exists. I've proven it. I don't have to say any more about it. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Gary. Because this gal is back, believe it or not. Believe it or not, she is actually back. She wants more. Fine. I guess she doesn't have enough on her plate. That doesn't surprise me, taking a gander. But let me show you here what she is up to these days. There was a discussion on this program and Candace Owens' program about the tarmac hug. This was where Candace swears up and down on a stack of Bibles. Andrew told her, I actually talked to Candace today and confirmed that Andrew told her that she would never forget this, that she can't possibly have made it up. This is just something that's like ingrained in her body. She recalls it plain as day yesterday. Andrew, you're free to deny you said it. I want to make that, let me pull this down and look in the camera, Andrew. I encourage you, if it wasn't true, please do this, by the way. If you did not say that, Andrew, just deny it. You don't have to do all this. You can just deny it. Just come out and deny it. See how that goes. I'll suggest it may not end the way you think it will. But here's the tarmac hug that never was. So they're denying the tarmac hug. Andrew Kolvet flight itinerary. That's a key word there. We'll talk about that. Flight itinerary for 9/10/25 just dropped. It's my contention. It's Candace's contention that it's likely or possible or at least probable, at least in my opinion, that Andrew might have been on an earlier flight than he is claiming. Instead of flying directly from Santa Barbara to Provo, he might have taken an earlier flight to Scottsdale. The problem.
All right. So to narrative frame the idea that this was a premeditated murder, he's going with might, maybe, could have. It's my assertion. All these things. He's just guessing, has no responsibility for good information to his viewers or anything else. Just complete guesswork. That's what he's doing. You guys got anything to add to that? Either one of those?
Yes, I do. Big round of applause for Lisa, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause. You've got Barron crashing out. Great job.
I just, if you're going to present a clip, at least give the whole, again, so the way that they slice and dice stuff is so deceptive. And I'm going to go find the actual full clip and then compare it to his later, because that was not even our actual topic that we were talking about on that live. It was literally sidebar conversation that Gary and I had, because Barron got brought up randomly on some side topic. And I just threw it out there. Yeah, and I literally just threw it out there as a question of hey, has he ever been brought up to the ethics board, or has his bar or have the bar look at anything, or has his license ever been called into question? I was genuinely just questioning or asking a question of hey, has this ever happened? Because a lot of what this guy does seems very unethical and unprofessional as a so-called lawyer. They have rules that they have to follow. They can't just go out there and do whatever the hell they want. It's like a doctor, right? They take an oath, so to speak, of how they have to practice and how they have to conduct themselves. And so, I was legitimately asking questions.
Just to add to what you're saying and put it in context, what he's doing is he's attempting to question the entire justice system and the validity of it. I mean, that's what's going on. And he's lying. He's saying, oh, this is the only evidence that they have. No, it's not the only evidence, Barron. You're a liar. I mean, and every time he comes to an opportunity in a fork in the road where he can lie, he does. And it's the narrative frame. It's to create a false narrative. It's to lie and to push propaganda. I mean, it's as simple as that. There's nothing else to say about it.
And to say that he can sue me, and to say he can sue me based off of that, I would say, go ahead, bring it on, because there's nothing that I said in that clip that was wrong. Again, I was simply asking a question.
You were just asking a question.
I'm allowed to have my own viewpoint that he operates in an unethical fashion. I'm allowed to believe that. So whatever, go for it. And to say that he has lost or has damages, he's not operating as a lawyer any longer. So how would that be loss of damages?
I think he actually is. He still has his license.
Oh,
is he? How I know.
Is he still hearing cases? And
I don't know about that.
Absolutely terrifying if that's true. Oh my God.
I believe he still has a partnership down in Florida, and he is licensed to practice law in, I know, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, I believe.
That's terrifying.
Currently.
Okay, great.
Problem for Andrew, if he was on that earlier flight, is he would have had to get to the airport probably before or just about the exact time as the Big Bang. That flight took off, I think, 17 minutes or so after Charlie Kirk went down. You can't get from your desk into your car to the airport, out of your car, into the airport, in the airport parking lot. And
again, who's to say that he wasn't planning? Even if that was true, it's not true. We know it's not true. It's complete speculation turned into a fact that he's presenting out or floating it out there. But even if that all was true, how do you know he wasn't planning on meeting Erika and then going to meet Charlie Kirk, and that just happened to be the time? But it's not.
Your car, into the airport, out on the tarmac, on the plane, close the door, cross-check, clear for takeoff, and start taxiing down the runway in 17 minutes. It's just not possible. Or 14 minutes, whatever it was. That's not possible. So if he was on the earlier flight, it raises a serious suspicion about what Andrew knew and when he knew it. And so there's this desperation, this real desperation to prove he was on another flight. And so this girl gets involved. Gary's guest gets involved. Once again, real Candace O and Baron Coleman were completely wrong. Oh, we'll talk about that. Were we?
Anything to like
Info
degrade
provided
me.
from House and Habit. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about who she is. And she breaks it all down for us in this video. I'll explain what she does. It's garbage. It's garbage. But the reason I bring it up is look at Andrew calling out from under a rock. This is factual. Which part, Andrew? It's a 4-minute and 10-second video. Which part is factual, and is it factual? As I explained to Candace today, when I would argue in front of a judge, particularly in an appellate case or any kind of motion practice, I would put at the top of the legal pad what I called the red line. That was the line I couldn't cross. If I crossed that, I lost the case. And sometimes you've got bad clients, you've got bad facts, you've got bad law. You can't win the case. But you have to hold the red line. You cannot give up. You have to give your client the best representation possible, even if it starts to sound absurd after a while. So I would put the point up there. Whatever the point was, I would put it in bold Sharpie right at the top. I always carry a Sharpie with me. I'm sure I got one in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. Always carry a Sharpie with me. You can see a Sharpie even if you're tired, if your eyes aren't working, if you lose your readers, you can always see the Sharpie, the bold Sharpie at the top of the page, the red line you can't cross. I would suggest this is a red line they can't cross. They absolutely cannot admit under any circumstances Andrew was on an earlier flight. If he was on an earlier flight, if he went to Scottsdale first, they have real problems, like FBI problems, state of Utah problems, huge problems. So this is a real issue. This has become potentially a make or break issue in this case. How do I know that that's what they think? Well, A, they've dispatched this girl. She's not real bright. She can't even get out the word bar complaint. But the second reason is the attacks have kicked up. I know when we're close to something because the attacks kick up. It must be expensive to attack.
How many times have they claimed they're over the target because the attacks have kicked up and nothing comes of this over the target? No. Your claims, you've gotten over your skis with your claims. They're so ridiculous, so preposterous, like the Fort Huachuca story, the dumbest shit ever put forward on the internet. One of the dumbest, for sure, of the many that, I mean, I don't know which dumber, French Foreign Legion, the Egyptian planes. I don't know which one of those are dumb, but anytime you put forward something dumb, like everybody's like, no, this is stupid. Even people on your side, like Valhalla, like Ian Carroll, break contact with you. It's like, no, I can't get behind this Fort Huachuca thing. It's too stupid. It's too stupid. But instead of like saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It's too stupid. Let's just move on to something else. No. You got to go and try to defame people like me and just make up from whole cloth some story that Gary the whole time had been denying that Mitch Snow was there. Never happened.
Attack people or something. I'm not sure. They must not be able to afford to attack all day, every day. They wait until there's a critical issue and then they go on the attack. They go on the attack at that moment. Like when we got near Fort Huachuca, the attacks went crazy. Ooh, they went nuts. And then they died down for a little bit. And we explored other things and there weren't a lot of attacks. And I thought, we must not be over the target. There's no attacks right now. We mentioned this flight. Now there are attacks. And they're coming from every direction. And they're really going hard. We're going to take his law license. Okay, have fun.
No one
Enjoy that. You can file in 3 different states.
Again, no one said that, Baron.
Have fun with that. Go for it, and I'll instantly commence all the defamation per se cases in every jurisdiction where they're right. And I would suggest there's probably about 30 of them you'll be defending in. But that's okay. That's okay. So where did it come from? We've already seen this well-spoken, investigative broad was wanting to weigh in. She wants to amplify because the first person that put it up wasn't getting much traction. She puts her 4-minute and 10-second video up. It's not getting any traction. So Andrew jumps in and he got a little traction. But where did it come from? Where was the original tweet? Well, the original tweet was from right here. It was from somebody named House in Habit. We'll talk about this in just a second. Who is this woman and what is her totally disinterested claim? How did they even find this girl? How did she get a hold of the manifest? Someone had to have given it to her, right? These aren't just floating around on the internet. You can't just do a Google search and find these. And it's
well, where's Baron's interest? Isn't everything that he's claiming a totally disinterested claim? But no. He has every right to be here. Every right. We got to make that money, folks. We got to grift. Matter of fact, I'm going to hit a couple of super chats real quick because they're relevant. Is Baron Coleman just grifting? You better believe it. And he's making a lot of money doing it. Bring on the stupid bots, LOL. Hopefully the moderators over there are taking care of those. I'm not even paying attention to that whole chat. Candace swears on a stack of Bible, so it's true. Nothing to see here. But seriously, that's scary for her if true. No fear of the Lord whatsoever. I think she's an atheist. I really do. She was an atheist before she started working for TPUSA, and I don't think anything's changed in that regard because there is no fear of God in her whatsoever. Thank you, Pappy. We appreciate you, buddy. Yep. You guys got anything to add before I play some more of this?
Nope.
If you guys aren't already, make sure you guys go follow the amazing, the great, not only Lisa Knows, but Rage Bronson as well. He's got a great YouTube channel, puts out a lot of great content, a good friend of the channel, and just a truth speaker in general. So
hold on. Lisa, what are the chances?
What's that?
What are the chances, Lisa, we can get you to change your name to the Investigative Broad?
Yeah, I should totally
What are the
do
chances?
that.
I like it.
The unintelligent investigative broad. Oh, my Lanta.
Anyways, just an itinerary. But this is Jessica Reed Krause. I didn't know who that was. I never heard of this woman in my life. Candace devoted a whole show to an imagined tarmac hug. Imagined? Andrew's free to decline it. He's free to deny it. Andrew, if it's not true, I encourage you to do that. We'll see how that goes. I obtained a copy of the flight manifest from September. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, lady. You didn't. I've seen manifest. I have manifest. That's not a manifest. That's an itinerary. That's an itinerary. Those are two different things. An itinerary is a plan. If you go to Expedia or Travelocity or Southwest or Delta, and you order a ticket for April, you're going to get an itinerary.
This came directly from them.
An itinerary. The manifest is filed.
Is he saying that I said it was a manifest? Because I never said that.
On the plane.
No,
you don't have that, lady. I'll prove it in just a second. Candace says, yada, yada, yada. What actually happened? Yada, yada, yada. It's interesting that it's a lackey saying all this. It's not Andrew Kolvet, but that's neither here nor there. Not to mention, tail number and type of plane Andrew and his wife were on actually match none of the planes Candace gives to her audience. Well, we'll look at that as well. But this is the document that she purports is the manifest, the lock solid, guaranteed proof that Andrew actually was on this flight. The only problem with that is, look right here at the top word, itinerary. There's
no one said manifest. In my tweet that he showed, I said
hold on. Lisa, Jessica.
But I got to ask real quickly before we even get into the manifest.
Yeah.
Who is this woman? Who?
She does say manifest in the tweet.
Okay, well, Jessica said that. I did not say that.
What needs to be inquired about from Paradise Jets is if they can actually put out an actual manifest. I mean, not that that's going to absolve us of issues whatsoever. They're just going to pick that apart.
Yeah, they're still not going to be happy with that. But yeah, that would definitely help.
In this case. Here's Jessica Reed Krause. She has her own Wikipedia page. She must be really important. She's a writer, Instagram influencer, former mommy blogger who writes the newsletter House Inhabit. She grew her Instagram account as a home improvement and lifestyle influencer. Okay, I see what you're doing here. I see where we're going. I see what we're doing here. Her husband, Mike, got a construction job, and she thought, I can show a couple of things on camera that'll really get people tuned in. And so she's basically sponging off of her husband's career by gallivanting around the camera. That's how she got noticed. Then she started getting into controversial cases, and she realized her popularity was taking off, so she leaned into it. This is the Britney Spears case. She went to the Ghislaine Maxwell case. She went to the Harvey Weinstein case.
Kind of like Baron Coleman did. He started riding the coattails of Candace Owens, saw that he was getting popular, saw that he was growing an audience, so he leaned into it, and he leaned into it hard.
And things really started picking up for her. Then she went to, got involved with the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp case. Her political views is what's interesting to me here. She previously considered herself a super liberal, but then she reinvented herself. She completely reinvented herself and became a big Donald Trump supporter, even going to Mar-a-Lago for a Super Bowl party. Well, that's really interesting. She's from San Clemente, California. She's married to a man named Mike. Mike got her start because he does houses. Okay. This is interesting to me because I see this picture and I immediately said, I recognize that logo. Now, this is the girl who got the manifest. This is the girl who posted the alleged manifest that we're going to tear apart in just a second. It's not real. I'll spoil the ending. The manifest is not real. The itinerary is not real. We can prove it. I will in a moment. Allegedly, in my opinion. But look at this picture. I'll make it bigger for those of you with bad eyes. What is that logo in the background? That's the Turning Point USA logo.
Oh, my God.
Not only is she in big with the MAGA movement, she was actually a speaker at the 2024 Young Women's Leadership Summit. That's a TPUSA event. She's a hack. She's a hack. She's one of them. Andrew, this is amateur hour, Andrew. I deserve better psyops, Andrew. My audience deserves better psyops. This is beneath you. You've insulted this high IQ outfit, Andrew. You've insulted this high IQ outfit. We cultivate intelligence. We cultivate logic. And you hit me with some hack speaker at your event? And you're just going to leak a manifest? Well, lady, let me tell you something. He obviously...
Oh, my God. I want you guys to look at this. Look at this right here. Look at this. Oh, look at this person right. What is that behind her? What is that behind her? She is a hack.
She's a hack.
She's a hack. Because she's got Turning Point behind her. Then she freaking destroyed all of her relationships there because she's a selfish, despicable person. And then she's decided to go on a smear campaign the moment that Charlie Kirk was killed. That's what's going on. Oh, and by the way, the last time I checked, if we want to talk about moving 180 degrees from where you were, I guarantee you can go back and you can find that Baron Coleman was all about MAGA. All about MAGA. Go look at some of the people that, look, he has been a Groyper defendant multiple times. Multiple times. Go look at the people that he defended. They were all Groypers. What's his name? Ian McInnes. And there was a couple other folks that he's part of the Nick Fuentes orbit, if you guys don't know that. That's who he was defending during like the January 6th era. So, take that for what it is. Oh, wrong one.
Thinks you're not very smart. He obviously thinks you're not very smart. Let me pull the manifest back up.
Like I said, manifest.
I want to go through a few things on here.
He said
a couple of things that interested me about this manifest. Well, for one, let me pull it back up. There we go. Well, for one, this is a manifest from...
I do want to point out, there is no one that is, and this is why Baron Coleman is much more dangerous than Candace Owens. Look, he's compelling. There's no doubt about it. He's believable, but he's the worst kind of liar because he's a believable liar. He's good at presenting these things. He's a former lawyer. He knows what to do and what not to do, all of those things. And this is why, really, well, I'll leave it at that. He's a danger, but he is lying through. We've already proven that he lied about me. He's lying about Lisa. He's putting words in people's mouth, and right now he's calling this a manifest. He's a manifest. But what I was going to say was there is no one that you will hear repeated word for word more by the candy cult than Baron Coleman. Word for word. They will take everything he said here and they will repeat it time and time again all over X and everywhere else. Because his messaging is effective. I mean, understand your enemies. And he's good at what he does, but he's a con artist through and through.
Paradise Charters or Paradise Jets. Now, that might not mean much to you, but if you really dig into how airlines work, this is a big tell.
Big tell.
Paradise Jets does not operate Regency airline planes. This plane right here is a Regency airline plane. You'll also notice the tail numbers blacked out. Crudely edited, I might add.
The tail number is listed. Is he blind?
Never, ever get a passenger manifest or itinerary, from Paradise Jets for a jet operated by Regency Airlines. That's not me saying that. That's the law. And I will
already addressed that earlier today. What a dumbass.
The first I got to look at.
You've got him so flustered he can't even keep his shit straight in this video.
I just need to mute myself because I'm going to say
something I noticed today as we were trying to pull up documentation on who owned these Part 135 charters. There's a database, a government database that will tell you every charter plane has what's called a Part 135 certificate. You can go on the line, you can go online and you can pull up the Part 135 certificate holders. It's critical because in order to operate a charter aircraft, you have to have the Part 135 certificate. And the dadgum database was down today. Wouldn't you know?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
wouldn't you know?
Lucky for me, we don't.
It's just like when, look, where Barron got his, I don't know, where people started paying attention to him, he started pulling up Google Trends data. And when I pointed out the fact that the Google Trends data is just utter horseshit and that it's not replicatable, you can't repeat it. And then he started doing it on his, so he pulled up all these things. He showed it. I pulled up those exact things that he put out on his podcast, the exact query, the exact time frame, and the exact location. And I got it different every single time. And I still have some screenshots. The exact same query, different times, you get completely different data because Google Trends will tell you it is not a historical record. It is not. We can pull that up and talk about it more. But when he was called out on that in the show and he tried to pull up the same data, it was all different. He's like, oh, wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? Oh, they're changing it on us. They're changing it on us. All right. So now your database is compromised, right? The thing that you're saying, there's a reason that nobody is using this as an investigatory tool. No one uses Google Trends. No serious person uses Google Trends because they know this basic concept. But that's what he's using. Not only is he using it as an investigatory tool to even find indications, he's using this as evidence to point to murder, conspiracy, and everything else. Nothing that would ever be presented in court. It would be thrown out and laughed at. And he knows it, but he doesn't care. But I want you to look at his concept here. He basically alludes to the fact that the CIA or somebody is changing the data on him, changing the data. So that is compromised. That source is compromised, but he still uses it to this day. So you have a tool that you admit is compromised, but you still use it. It's like saying, hey, you know what? My phone is bugged, but I'm going to continue to talk on it. That's what you're saying. Because if they can change it post-event, you better believe they can change it prior to. What do you think? The CIA is watching Baron Coleman like, oh, he's on to us again. Like, we got to change that data. It's ridiculous. Why wouldn't they change it ahead of time and point him in the direction that they want? Or some other entity, other state-sponsored or whatever else, Google itself, who hates America. It's the most ridiculous claim ever. And by the way, I've talked about this before. There is no intelligence agency. I don't care if it's the Israelis. I don't care if it's Kuwait. I don't care if it's Uganda. All right. They're not using Google to look up stuff. Look, there are classified systems that have I have done target packets. And yes, when you were doing a target packet and you were doing surveillance on a target, all right, you absolutely use open source. It's a powerful tool. You don't use Google. All right, they're classified systems and extremely, extremely good algorithms that will show you everything. You guys know that the information that you get from Google is what Google wants you to see. It is not nowhere near the complete picture. This is not a system that any sort of state-sponsored element or anyone involved in intelligence or even in the in the if somebody was doing this from like the George Soros types, all right, think tanks and things like that, they got their own systems they can utilize. Oh, and by the way, they use VPNs if they were going to use this. Like the idea that somebody would use Google to look up, oh, you know what, we're going to assassinate Charlie Kirk on September 10th. It is now August. Let me look up all the relevant stuff. So this extremely sophisticated conspiracy apparently being perpetrated by French, Israel, and the United States, the most sophisticated militaries in the world, and they're going to use Google. Get out of here. It's so dumb. Such a dumb.
I challenged Barron on that early on. Do you know what his excuse was? Well, they could have just gotten lazy. They just got lazy. Yeah.
No, we wouldn't use that. Nobody would use that because it's not a complete picture. It is not a complete picture. It's what Google wants you to see. That's why if you go to DuckDuckGo or you go to some Brave or some of these other browsers, you get a lot more, you get completely different information than what you get from Google. So it's just ridiculous to be.
So I just want to let you guys know that I added to my name on all my socials in parentheses, investigative broad. And
Let's go.
I changed my tagline to "This broad knows."
I love it.
Let's go.
Don't wait until the last moment around here. This is something we've been working on. So let me show you a couple of things. One, this is what the database showed before today. Andrew, I've got a Daisy. You've got Gary. I would submit that you are out of your league.
Oh, yeah.
This is the airplane right here. This is the Title 14 CFR Part 135 Operators and Aircraft. This is in green, the alleged aircraft that Andrew flew on. You'll notice it says right here, the Part 135 certificate holder name is Regency Air, LLC. Meaning, the only person who can legally operate this aircraft is Regency Air. If you want to reserve this aircraft, you have to call Regency Air or you have to call a broker. But if you call a broker, your itinerary is going to show the broker or it's going to show Regency Air. It's not going to show Paradise Jets. They don't have anything to do with it. It's a totally different organization. So that's that. Well, is it possible? Maybe they have more than one charter, Part 135 charter? Well, let's look because I have Paradise Jets 135 charters. They act like this is the first investigation we've ever done. They're wrong. Here are the Paradise Jets charters. They only have charters on 3 planes. This is the N102 Delta Zulu plane right here in the middle. This is the plane Charlie Kirk took that morning and came and the flight allegedly flew empty back to Scottsdale and allegedly picked up Erika Kirk and flew back to Salt Lake City. Or excuse me, flew back to Provo. That's that middle plane of the 3 yellow planes, N102 Delta Zulu. This is N582 Mike, N79 Sierra Charlie. Those are the only 3 planes you could ever get an itinerary for from Paradise Jets, in my opinion. I think legally I'm right on that. But we weren't sufficient. That wasn't sufficient. That wasn't sufficient because we asked, why would Paradise Jets, who is not a broker, I've confirmed they're not a broker, why would they list a flight operated by a completely different certificate holder under their own letterhead without any disclosures? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. You know how I know that? Daisy called them, both Paradise Jets and Regency Air. She ran this scenario by them, and they both agreed this can't happen. Neither one of them are broke.
I don't believe this is true at all. I think this is made up bullshit, and I have good reason to believe. Elisa was alluding to the fact that we're going to hear more on this, and he's going to be proven a liar for sure. But don't buy the bullshit, folks. Don't buy it.
And they only produce itineraries for their own jets. They're out of their league. They're out of their league. I don't know who they think we are. But if you go back, I want to go back and show you something. This is amazing. The bottom picture right here is the picture from the itinerary. This is the picture from the itinerary here. You'll notice if you zoom in, if you look real closely on the tail at the bottom, there's no tail number on it. See on the top up here, there's a tail number, this N937RA. They're supposedly showing you the jet that they're going to be flying on, but they blacked out the tail number because it's not the same jet. This is the picture they blacked it out from. This is the picture they photoshopped. This top picture. We were able to track that picture down. So they've already edited the document, but I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get a Regency Air flight on a Paradise Jet letterhead. You're just not going to. It's just not possible. In my opinion, I will be happy to review an actual manifest, but you're not going to get that. And let me say this here. Man to man, Andrew, this is unnecessary. This is unnecessary. You don't have to go to Gary. A lot of people have my number. I don't want to give it out over the air, but a lot of people have it. You can get it from Candace. You can get it from a lot of people. Call her and ask.
That's right. Come to me. Give me the information, Andrew. That's what I want. How about F you, Baron? He's not going to acquiesce to you. I hope he doesn't. My God, please, Andrew, don't listen to this clown. You don't have to give me the information. Give this to anybody else. Anybody else. By the way, Andrew didn't give me this information, just to be clear. But what these people continue to do is they continue to attempt to extort, to accuse people of murder that they have zero evidence of, and then extort information so they can have another show and another show and another show, and no matter what information you give them, they're not going to present it honestly. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. They got more shows. They got the grift cannot stop.
For my number, just call me. You don't have to try to do this debunking through Gary's broads.
Just
call me.
Jesus.
I will make the correction. My goal is to be correct, not to nail you to the wall, not to prove you did anything. My goal is to be correct, Gary. I want to be accurate. I have this open standing agreement with anyone who has evidence that I've been wrong or that my opinion needs to be changed. Give me the evidence and I'll change my opinion. I'll make a correction. That goes for everything I've said. Everything. If you were on that flight, let me know. Call me. You can find me. I'm not hard to track down, despite what some people say. It's unnecessary doing this song and dance. Just get on the record. Just get on the record. Now, we have to ask the question, who owns Paradise Jets? Would they have a motivation in creating something fake, or was this created fake at TPUSA? Did some aspiring Twittress go fake this thing up on Photoshop? So I looked it up, and I found an article who identifies the owner of Paradise Jets, and I looked her up. She seems perfectly nice. Her name is Cynthia Thomas. Here's her Instagram page. And if you open this up, this is an article here. You can go read it yourself. But it talks about owning Paradise Jets. Welcome to Paradise. Cynthia Thomas is elevating private aviation. They are expanding in Scottsdale. I think they're now up to 3 planes. This whole thing here is about her owning Paradise Jets. So I just had to know, who is this woman? Like, she seems nice. Would she be in on it? Like, is she biased in any way? I know Jamie Thomas allegedly is one of the pilots who would ferry Charlie around the country. But I mean, if you're just a pilot, are you really biased? You just have a job, right? They hire you and they give you $25,000 to take them to Dallas and back. And so you do it. I mean, are you really invested in any way? Well, let's go back and find out.
He's invested because he's the actual CEO. Jamie
Because
Thomas,
if we scroll back,
all right.
This is
the record right here.
Cynthia, the owner of Paradise Jets, and that's Jamie, the pilot for Paradise Jets, having a blast.
He's completely incorrect. All right, let me just show you what's going on here. All right, Paradise Jets is a Mesa, Arizona-based private aviation company founded and led by the husband and wife team, Jamie Thomas, CEO and founder, and Cynthia Thomas, president, COO, established around 2016. Jamie Thomas is not just some pilot that is not invested in the company. He's the CEO. Like, You talk about getting basic facts wrong. Here we go. Back to the show.
Celebrating the inauguration with TPUSA. They look like they're having a blast. To their credit, that looks like a lot of fun. I would be really tempted to support an organization that let me have that much fun at the inauguration and paid me that much money. The temptation would be there, guys. I'm just telling you. They both look amazing. They're having so much fun. This looks great. They're having a great time. Good for them. Good for them. This is them all geared up for the pre-inaugural ball by TPUSA. They look like $1 million. I mean, they're a good-looking couple. They look rich, powerful. This is great. I mean, this is great stuff. I would post this on Instagram if this was my life. I don't know what that was. But they are just involved in the TPUSA scene. This is who they are. They get involved in the TPUSA scene. So good for them. Good for them.
Well, TPUSA is clearly one of their large clients. I would like, what do we point out here? Again, casting aspersions, suspicions on a company with only because of association.
But that's who owns it. So I put all this together and I think this is weird, right? This is a little weird. We've got Paradise Jets owned by a TPUSA groupie that has an itinerary for a Regency air flight. It's weird. The Regency air flight lists Andrew Kolvet on it, but it's not the manifest. It's just the itinerary. But it lists Andrew and his wife, Caitlin. This is a little weird because I thought I remember Candace saying that he was like pacing the cabin or all alone on this giant airplane. This is a pretty small jet. This is a Hawker Beechcraft. This is not a Beechcraft Hawker 400 XP. This is not a huge plane, And if he's there with his wife and he didn't leave until this time, nearly 3 hours after Charlie Kirk was taken down, he would have no reason to wonder what was going on. He told the New York Times he knew 35 to 45 minutes or 40 to 50 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, whatever it was, after the Big Bang that Charlie was passed. So he wouldn't really have any problem there. I mean, and we just got a little problem on our hands here. I will say this operator certificate number is the Regency Air operator certificate. Again, that would not be proper for Paradise Jets to be producing that. It's a little interesting too, because if you look at the scheduled Santa Barbara departure time, it says 2:30. And they don't arrive in Provo until almost 5 o'clock. It's an hour and a half. It says it right here, flight time, an hour and a half, time zone change 1. So it's really 2.5 hours, but you take the time zone out, that's 1.5 hours. So is that what the FAA had as the flight times? Or did they butcher that too, trying to be too cute by half and not just getting the manifest and releasing that, but trying to release what appears, at least on its face, to be a fake itinerary? But let's look real quickly. I'll pull this up and we can all look together. Let me make it the big version here since we're just looking at one. I'll have to scroll down to it if I'm going to make it big. That's July. There's September. Here we go. September 8. Man, let me make it back small. I know how to read those. All right, here we go. This is the flight radar version of this. Santa Barbara to Provo was originally scheduled to take off at 1:30 local time, not 2:30 local time.
So I'm on a different flight.
And it was scheduled to land at 4:47. Well, if you look at this itinerary here, that says 2:30 local time, which makes sense, I guess, in the sense that he didn't leave until closer to 2:30. But the reality is, if you go back here, the flight plan was filed for 1:30.
2 RA, is that the one?
So I don't know why the itinerary would show something different than the flight plan. Is it evidence that it's fake? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think it is additional evidence it's fake. There's actually one more piece of evidence that this might not be real. It was created recently. You got to really look down and trust me here. But if you pull this up on Twitter, you can see it. This copyright, this Google Map copyright, was from 2026. 2026 is this Google Map copyright. Well, this flight was in 2025. And if you go back and look at old Google Map data from September 25, the copyright's 2025, not 2026. And so that even is a little piece of evidence. But again, this right here, let me pull the certificate data back up for just a second. Where's the run? There it is. I think it's, I think they might have had a typo on there. Anyway, this is a disaster for them. This is just an absolute disaster. Rather than just picking up the phone and calling Candace and saying, why are you telling people we had a tarmac hug? I never told you that. It will be
proven wrong.
Rather than just coming out publicly and saying, why are you telling people we had a tarmac hug? I never told you that. And then seeing how Candace responds to that. I mean, that, like, if someone accused me of saying something I didn't say, am I going to go and find some gal who's a guest with Gary or some other gal who was a speaker at one of my events 2 years ago? And is that how I'm going to get the information out?
If I'm Candace Owens and I want to prosecute this case, am I going to do it myself, or am I going to have my paid simp, my coattail? I retract that. I don't know if he's paid or not, but he's definitely a simp. Why isn't Candace doing this? She's having Baron Coleman do it. This completely disinterested party do this for her. Why is that? So if she can have surrogates release information or discuss information or prosecute information, why can't other people? And by the way, this stuff is the things that we've been pushing back on. We're not pushing back on the behest of TPUSA. We're pushing back on against lies. That's where this is all started. I don't care if I ever talked to TPUSA. I don't care if I had never talked to TPUSA or Andrew Kolvet or anything else. I'd be doing the exact same thing. Never talked to anybody at TPUSA until December. So whenever that meeting was with Candace Owens. So there's that. Bronson, does he go on to give us any other additional information there that's worth listening to?
No, none of it's worth listening to. If he was going to debunk Lisa, it should only take a matter of minutes, but he can't. So he went on this long, drawn out, jumping from this topic to this topic to this, and it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. But the tards over there will be like, ooh, a rabbit hole. Ooh, nothing.
Yeah. Well, look, I think one of the things that hopefully we agree on is the fact that I think TPUSA and Andrew Kolvet himself have to give a full-throated response to all of these things. Like, I don't think if you're going to provide information, you can't afford to do it half-ass. I think he definitely needs a manifest, whatever else. I do think that he needs to address these claims and prove, once again, that Baron Coleman and Candace Owens are not honest brokers of information. They make stuff up. They claim to be experts in areas that they have none, no expertise whatsoever. And I think that's what needs to be done. What do you think, Lisa? The investigative broad?
I don't know. I don't even know where to begin because I don't want to say things out of frustration that I shouldn't. But
let it rip.
Yeah, right. Like they all get to, right? I'm trying to hold myself to a higher standard, but Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he can sit there and say that, this has been edited and like redacted and whatever. Yes, obviously there were certain portions that were redacted. That's very clear. Obviously, like personal private information was redacted from this document. But the things that he's identifying is just absolutely absurd. And he doesn't, yes, we already talked about the whole Regency Air now having the registration for the plane. This event happened 6 months ago. We have no idea what happened for the lease for this plane. The plane could have been sold from one party to another. All that to say, he never once addresses that the information that he's looking up on those charts is per today. Per today's date, it says that. We have no idea what those charts would have said on September 10th of 2025.
Yeah.
As
Well, the
far
other
as
thing I
this
want to point out
plane
is
changing hands.
it was like when you rent a car, they'll have
Right.
a picture of the car that you're renting. It's like, okay, well, you're getting a Chevy Blazer or a Chevy Blazer. I guess we're gonna go back in time. I guess they still make, they used to, a Chevy SUV of whatever else. Doesn't mean that's the exact one that you're getting. If they have multiple aircraft and it's like, hey, this is the type of aircraft that you're getting, this is the same cabin layout, like there's 1,000 explanations for all these highlighted discrepancy. But
I think it's very clear that at some point in time the aircraft, changed hands or whatever.
Could be
that. At some point that probably happened, but again, he doesn't even give that as like an option.
No.
That could be what, again, and he's not even he's not even bringing it to people's attention of this event happened on September 10th and we're looking at these charts today. And there are absolutely variables here that could have changed in a literal half a year period, y'all. Half a year has gone by, and we're not going to take into any consideration that that dynamics have very much changed in half a year. Are you freaking kidding me?
Hold on. I want to address some insanity. Hey, Gary, Barron disagrees. I've heard this mentioned 1,000 times, but he disagrees with you, but he never says anything bad about you. This is silly. Are you freaking insane? Are you freaking insane? He sat there and lied about me, trying to damage my credibility and creating a complete false narrative to do so. You're insane, Jamie. I bet you're the same ones that go around and say, you know what, Candace actually never accused TPUSA of Erika or anything. Like, you're an idiot, Jamie. I'm sorry. You're an idiot. If you say that, you're a moron. My God. I didn't know there were so many retarded people in America. I really didn't. Like, this entire last 6 months has been so eye-opening to me to see how many Americans are so stupid, so gullible, lacking basic logic, basic critical thinking skills. Like, our country is screwed. Really is. We got people like Jamie C over here running around saying absolute nonsense.
Yeah. We're cooked.
Freaking idiot.
Yeah, we're done. I mean, the only positive that has come out of this whole thing is that we've been able to see people's true colors, especially certain people that we've given platforms to that we should have never platformed, right? And I think that this is a wake-up call to people to be like, hey, in the future, we need to vet some of these people much better before we just allow them into the conservative movement, right? But yeah, wow, I need a drink. I need a drink after
the problem with that is, Lisa, is we need their votes.
Yeah, we
gotta have their votes to win the elections. It's a tough spot
because it's super tight. Yeah.
Look, they're doing irreparable harm to our country, and it's not even about the election at this point. It's about setting up future generations that are completely susceptible and vulnerable to psychological operations like this. Whoever's behind all this stuff, and I don't even care if you didn't include foreign adversaries. What they've told is every grifter out there on the internet, you can just come up with lies, create narratives out of whole cloth, reinforce it with anonymous sources, and millions of Americans will believe you. And it's a way to make a living. That's what's going on with that, for sure. Let's hit a couple of these super chats and sure some other things can come up. I sob anytime Erika speaks, the same as when worship music is on, the Holy Spirit is in her. Candy has me thinking hateful things fast, never joy. Yeah. There's nothing gracious or generous that ever comes out of that woman. I will say that. Baron has skinny short safe behind him. That's what's going on. Shaking my head. Bro, I've flown PJ. You can charter a jet, take off early or late, doesn't matter. Your ID will be verified by the pilot, matching passenger name and date of birth. There's no manifest you get from the booking company, i.e. jet card. There you go. Gary, you're doing great since the beginning, hosting all your special guests. My detective broads. I put you into that category, Bronson. I just want you to know you're part of my detective harem.
I'll take it.
You're the girl in the like the way that he called me a girl as a way to like demean me, and I'm like, I am a 36-year-old woman. Just so that I know that I don't look that old. I get that a lot, but I am 36 years old. Candace Owens, in fact, is only a couple months older than me. So I guess that she is an unintelligent investigative broad as well. I mean, because are you kidding me? Like, if that's your standard,
any investigating at all. So I mean, she really hasn't.
What are we doing right now?
And so is Baron. Look. I understand, and this is what I said at the beginning. Look, Baron is 10 times more compelling than Candace Owens and a lot of these knuckleheads out there. His approach to this is much more sophisticated. There's no doubt about it. And I think you'd be foolish not to recognize that. But he is a liar through and through, and that's what makes him more dangerous. You know, so
I agree with that. What's going to happen when Baron becomes more popular than Candace Owens? What's going to happen?
I don't know.
I don't think Candace could handle that.
Hopefully that won't happen, but it probably will. Thank you, CJ. You're always the man, always supporting the channel. We appreciate you, buddy. What else we got?
Whiskey? Does anyone have some whiskey? Oh, my Lanta.
I'm just going through here. You know what else we have right here? Any major? All right, folks. I think we're going to close this down. What I am going to do is, man, it's almost 10 o'clock. I was going to do a space tonight. It's late. My wife's already upset with how much time I've spent online. I think I spent, I don't know, a good 10 hours Friday. A little bit of a break yesterday. I was planning on taking all Sunday off, and then all this came up. But look, you need some discernment, folks. You need to be smart out there and pay attention to what's being said, what's going on, and understand the agendas behind all this stuff. That's the entire point of everything that we've been doing, everything that Bronson is doing over on his channel. Make sure you go give him a follow, everything that Lisa's doing, and many other people out there. There's a lot of folks that are being courageous. And I'm telling you, like, I could, everything that I've said, pointing out the lies that these people point out. Tomorrow I could flip the script. Tomorrow I could have a come to Jesus moment and be like, you know what? I'm on board. You know what? They convinced me. I think Baron's the greatest. He doesn't lie. I think all of this evidence is trash. I'm telling you, everything would be forgiven. All these clowns would sing my praises. My channel would go through the roof. I'd be getting super chats left and right. We'd have bots down in there. Instead of talking trash in my comments, they'd be left and right praising and singing my praises. So, like, I mean, to some people, I understand it's tempting if you really care about popularity. But the truth isn't always popular, but it's always worth it. That's a direct quote from Charlie Kirk, and he knew what was up. Bronson, any final words from you?
Baron's a joke, and this is awesome. That's all I got.
He's just like, this is great. I just wanted to remind you guys too, I'm going on what is his name? Didi got a podcast. I'm going on his podcast tomorrow. He's one of the Candy Cult members. We're going to be debating and discussing and going back and forth, but I will post a link to that tomorrow when that gets closer. But yeah, it should be interesting. I love dealing with these clowns. It's fun.
Make sure that you post links to that, and I'll make sure I share those links on X and YouTube as well, and all the other social media. So we'll make sure that we give you some views on that. I may just for the, I don't know. We'll see. I may just live stream that as well, so we don't give that clown more views.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me think about that. Yeah. Any other final words?
Great
Lisa?
job, Lisa.
Been fun, guys.
Hey, look, that, look, until you're being attacked and attacked personally, being doxxed, death threats, all those things, that's when you know you're over the target. That's actually where the real heat is. And look at the difference. Like, yeah, we'll go in there and we'll critique these people, but we're not saying, hey, go attack these people, go do all this stuff. We definitely don't dox these people. Like, the way the game is played, it is the exact same playbook of the left that these people are using against us who are telling the truth. And that's what we have in common. Conservatism is about the unvarnished, not always great truth. And they want this, candy-coated lies over here. That's what they do.
Yeah, if any of you guys want to come and battle it out in my comments, because I know as soon as I haven't even checked, I haven't even opened X, but I know that when I open X, it's going to be an absolute cluster over. It's going to be insane. So anybody that wants to come and help out, that'd be great, because it's
I'll
going
be
to be
there.
a nightmare.
I'm sure Bronson will too. It'll be the same with this video as well, by the way, folks. So,
oh yeah,
I don't really care
I'm just
one way or the other.
bracing for it.
You guys want to battle it out and talk smack to these people? Yeah, it does something. It's not nothing, that's for sure. And it definitely, you know what it does? It definitely go do that over in Lisa's X comments. What I will say, it is nice when you look down the comments, you see people have your back. I'll say it, if nothing else, but it is what it is.
Definitely helps, at least for morale's sake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Well, listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you very much. Make sure you share this. Make sure you share my content. Make sure you share Bronson's content. Make sure you share Lisa's content. If you're not doing anything else, and we love everybody that supports the channel with super chats, with memberships, subscriptions, all those things. You can go over to X, support me with a subscription. A couple dollars a month. It definitely helps. All of that helps. But what is as good as $100 super chat is when you share our content. If everybody that's watching this is sharing our content, make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. We're going to be attacked. We're going to have all these Baron Coleman bots and all the other freaking candy heads coming over here and downvoting this video. Make sure you go the opposite way. Make sure you like. That helps. But again, share our content. If you really want to make a difference and you think this content's worth listening to, we got to work on counter messaging and going against their propaganda and fighting their propaganda with truth. And that's the way that you do it. That's the way that you do it. All right, folks. Well, listen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. God bless each and every one of you. And until next time, stay armed, stay ready, and we'll talk to you soon.